tick, tick, tick on the wall. Maybe you could have it all. Get down on your knees and pray. Maybe she will let you stay. Good enough if you play the game. Here comes the music, don't resist. Gotta keep on moving. Here comes the music, just give in.
What? Wait, Joe, did you say something happened?
He said he peaked that audio. Which is probably a euphemism.
It's not.
It's
not.
It's peak. It's peak, dude.
Yeah, baby, I'm gonna peak that audio all over you.
That's not. That is absolutely not.
That's
what
not
he
the.
meant.
That's
even a
that's
little.
not in the podcast, right?
No, we'll bleep it out.
No, you can't me anymore.
Okay. Well,
This is who I am. I peak audio.
I don't understand what the joke is, because it's like, never mind. All right, look, we're let's get into this. Patrick,
We're
tell
just
us.
three dudes talking about this all the times we've been peaking audio with chicks.
That's not a euphemism, though.
This
it's
is-
like you can't.
Anything is a euphemism if you say it with the inflection of a euphemism.
That's right. That is correct.
I peaked her audio. If you know what
Dude,
I'm saying.
I fucking smashed that like button, bro. See, like anything can be a euphemism.
I was tapping on that keyboard.
All right, I was bubbling that tea.
That sounds good, though, actually.
Yeah, I have some bubble tea with me, actually. Just why I said that. Also, I have How to Train Your Dragon branded bubble tea.
Dude, I trained that fucking dragon last night.
Oh my god. Actually,
You trained that fucking dragon?
Yes.
it's a dragon specifically that has one purpose.
Specifically for fucking.
Well,
You know,
if you,
here what's
if you don't
fucked
have
up,
books.
actually, though. As you say that out loud, you know that at some point in time, if they integrated humans and dragon society, decades down the line in that How to Train Your Dragon world, someone has
The
explored
fact that you think it would take decades says monuments about you. Like,
Sorry.
you absolutely would not.
I'm
would
so
not survive
naive. Months.
on the internet. I actually did see the live action How to Train Your Dragon. I think it was kind of better than all the Disney ones, but again, that's like saying Thunderbolts is the best Marvel movie in years. So I don't know.
Isn't it just a shot for shot remake
Yeah,
of the
it is
original
shot
animated
for
movie?
shot, line for line, with like maybe 3 or 5. It's like 3 to 5 sentences are added or something. But yeah,
So that always back to the question of like you're just saying that How to Train Your Dragon is a good
was a
movie.
good
Like, the
movie
original
back
How to
in the
Train Your
day.
Dragon, the original How
This
to
is-
Train Your Dragon is a good movie.
this is literally just a slightly worse version of a very good movie that still ends up being good.
And that goes back to the question of then why make this at all?
Money. I don't know what your problem is. They want more
Damn.
money.
So, on the topic of training a dragon and, pornography, since we're there.
I guess we are.
Oh, where are we going?
Like, could you do a shot-for-shot remake of How to Train Your Dragon?
As a
but
porno?
How to
as a
train
por-
your dragon.
Yeah, as a porno, but, like, it's really shot-for-shot, but you kind of say everything with a hint of sarcasm, so it's kind of a free use, like, copyright skirt around situation.
Okay, so like
You'd have to-
how
you'd
to
have to
how to
change-
how to educate your wyvern is what you're talking about.
Kind of.
And you'd have to change all the names too, right? It couldn't be Hiccup, it'd have to be
Burp.
Belch.
Yeah,
No,
Belch
I
is
mean, like,
Burp
literally
Belcher.
everything's exactly the same, but is there a level of sarcasm you can inflect that
Oh,
legally
it
distances
has to be
you
like
into fair use?
Yeah, like it's transformative in nature enough that you are commentating on the art rather than just copying it. I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Michael J's Transformatives.
What?
Michael J's Transformatives.
What are you referencing?
Michael Bay's Transformers.
Michael
Fuck.
Bay.
That-
You said Michael J. I was like, I thought you were trying
yeah,
to say
because
like,
I can't legally call him his real
I thought you
name.
were trying to say like Michael
Yeah.
J. Fox, and then I was like, is that his name?
Famously litigious Michael Bay will sue you just for saying his name.
Yeah. We should say our names now. My name,
Yes,
I guess we could.
my name's Nirav. I have not directed any of the Transformers films.
My name is Patrick, and I've directed 3 of the 7 Transformers films.
Huh. That's almost half of them. All right. And Joe, which
I am Joe, and I am a connoisseur of the animated ones, and also a connoisseur of the live action ones. But not because they're good.
How many live action movies are there? I guess 7. Is that correct?
I'm
Over, under,
gonna
what am I
say
at?
7 because I think Bumblebee is one of them, and that's like a side one. So I'm gonna say 7
But-
total.
the Michael Bay Transformers movies. Also, we're a court of bros and bros.
Yeah, sorry. This is a
Oh
podcast
shit, we are.
where we talk
Yeah,
about live action
We're a podcast
movies.
about Transformers and Michael Bay
Yeah.
and fair use, copyright law, pornography stuff.
Transformatives. Sorry. Just like...
But yes, Transformers, by Michael Bay. You know,
the
novelization.
The auteur behind
Yes.
Transformers.
it is actually the most racist piece of like cinema since like
Okay.
whatever that Klan movie was
That
in the
can't
20s.
be true. That I know it has. I
It's
know it's
so
racist. But,
racist.
like, sorry.
Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation. That's what it is. Yeah, it's the most racist movie since Birth of a Nation.
Why? What in it is so? I haven't seen those movies. I haven't seen those movies in so long.
Okay,
What is it
it's
that makes them so
the
racist?
character. The character Jazz, I think, is his name, who is the black.
No, I don't mean the
Transformer.
Transformers. Like the way they portray any non-white person is horrendous.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking
so
about
bad.
that. That includes the black Transformer.
Yes,
Jazz.
yes,
who
Jazz is like,
we gotta
oh,
take down
man.
these jive mothers. It's like really.
Is it a real line?
It's essentially. If it's not
Basically.
that, it is indistinguishable from that.
It's probably worse than that. Like it's so bad.
It's actually very famously super racist. But anyway,
amazing.
no
I have
fucking
not seen
wonder
those
Mark
movies.
Wahlberg was drawn to these movies.
Yeah, and Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny only does shit where he's racist. Tom Kenny sucks. Can we
Does
admit
he?
that
Why
now?
did you tell me
Yes.
that?
No,
Why
like,
do you do this about
he only
everyone?
does
Everyone.
like edgelord dumb voiceover shit where it's like everything he's in is like racist.
Wait, isn't
to a
Tom
degree.
Kenny SpongeBob?
Yeah,
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
What kind of edgy shit does he do? What are you
No,
talking
he'll do,
about?
like what was that? Brickleberry, that like fucking Daniel Tosh show. Like anything that is like adjacently racist, he will be a voice in.
Are you sure it's not just that he's a voice in so many things that by default he will naturally end up accidentally being a voice in a racist thing?
You don't accidentally do racism. What are you talking about?
Is he doing the
Does
racism?
Tom Kenny? Yeah, is he doing
Yes.
the actual? I don't want to fucking
he
drag
plays- no, he's the
Tom
voice
Kenny's
of one of-
name.
he's the voice of the most racist character in the Transformers movies.
Right, SpongeBob.
Yeah, crazy that they got the rights to that.
Wait.
Hold on.
He what? Wait, which character was he
He's
in the
he's the
Transformers?
he's like the mountain, not the Mountain Dew. He's like the two tiny cars, like the two twin cars. Like one's green, like one's red, but like they're like just offensively stereotypical. Not even stereotypical. Like they're just racist depictions of like I think Mexicans.
Oh, I remember the Mexican Transformers.
Yes,
so, yes, I
he's
think
one of the
this is what
voices
it
of
is.
that. And like you don't accidentally get that script. That script, you don't
No,
just stumble.
that's a good
your
point.
That's true. That one's pretty rough. I do remember that one.
I'm scrolling through his actual like IMDb page now, and I'm not going to excuse that role you just said, but like for the most part, he does pretty just normal stuff. He's been in like hundreds of projects
Yeah.
in just the last 5 years.
Look, I'm gonna say the same thing. Like, do you remember? Actually, we were just talking about Community. What they said about Nicolas Cage. Like, I don't know. If I spent 30 years doing 70 movies talking at random volumes, I might accidentally win an Oscar too. Like, this is the opposite of that. Okay, let's.
He's been in 609 projects. That is.
I would like to review
wild.
the tapes and the Wikipedia page before I say Tom Kenny sucks. That's all.
Yeah, because I
Look,
thought.
I'm not-
Yeah, I
look,
agree. Don't try and
shocking-
backpedal now.
No,
You
no,
literally
I'm
said
saying
Tom Kenny
a
sucks.
statistically improbable number of his roles are questionably racist.
Listen, we can't get into this right now because this next 15 minutes
Look.
of the podcast is going to be totally going through his roles. But I don't know what you're referring to besides.
Look,
The only-
we all know. I think most things are racist. This is a fact. But
Okay. The only thing I can find under personal life on his page is that he and his wife appeared in the music video for Tonight Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins. That's
case,
it.
I'm not sure what
case
that does
closed.
for his case.
I'm right.
I'm just saying. Okay, we'll investigate that off the air and we'll report back
Yeah,
next
this is
week.
not. We can't do this right now.
Okay, so we ended the last bit of the book with Feyre
Sorry.
saying, "What? You found some new fun fucking group to
No,
go
you're
after?
just like,
SpongeBob
is-
fans? Are they next?"
I'm not trying to be controversial. Like
That's
I don't,
absolutely not true. Don't fucking sit there and lie to me.
no. I don't try to do this. This is just who I am.
Joe, this is just who you are. You go around calling anyone you possibly can racist.
Eventually, I'll be right.
I guess that's true. Okay, let's talk about all the racist people in this book. Who
There definitely
all of the
are
fairies,
some.
basically.
I mean, really, yeah, that's actually kind
A
of
lot of the fairies, all the humans.
Yeah, the humans, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone except the main characters is racist in this
Yeah.
world.
And Tarquin.
Yes. Okay, so the last time we left them, they were planning like an Ocean's 11-esque heist, but with no planning. And
With zero planning and three
basically,
people.
There's an underwater like little temple off the coast of the castle, and they suspect Farah like felt her like spider sense activated and told her the piece of the book was in there that they need. So they are planning a heist to get in there. And so I guess this chapter honestly just starts with them doing the heist. Like Reese is like keeping watch out on the beach, and then Amryn and Farah basically like they like dig into the mud until they find a door, which I was like, what?
Well, she felt like they went into this little mucky temple thing, and then
Yeah.
she felt the draw from the middle of the room and started digging and found a lead door. And then she
Okay.
had to like put her hand on the door. Like there was like a seal on this door she felt. So she put her hand on the seal, and then
And he
like
rubbed
she
its
felt
belly.
the seal. Yeah, she rubbed the seal's belly. But she felt the seal like pulling. She basically had to like trick the seal into thinking that she was Grand Moff Tarkin.
God damn you guys! I can't
She-
not think of it as a fucking real seal now.
Yeah, there's a mud seal in there, and which I think is yeah, I think that's a real thing, mud seal. But anyway, yeah,
But yeah, she lets to like pretend to be him, and it's not clear. She talks about how she transforms into
she-
him, and is she physically turning into him?
Yes,
I tried to
so-
type in mud seal and I typed in mid seal, so it's just showing me like really average seals. Alright, whatever, put this down. Okay.
Yeah, so she does actually she does the mental connection, like taking kind of the essence that she had picked up from doing Daemati shit with him. And
Yeah.
was using that initially, but in the process of focusing, I picked up as she physically transforms into Tarquin.
Okay, that was not what I had
physically
picked up because I
shapeshifts, is what
thought she
got
was
out of it.
she was like transforming her power to like trick the seal into thinking that she was Tarquin. I mean, but maybe I'm wrong. You said she like because even here I think it says that she shifts into Tarquin, so she physically changes into him.
Yeah. And
Okay.
she had kind of, because she made a note too, like she's not going to think about where this power is coming from. She has to just focus on, like she doesn't want to confront the fact that this is a Tamlin power, because she'd been struggling to shapeshift because
Yeah.
it was, they had mentioned in the training montage later in the chapters that it's more difficult with that because it's tied to Tamlin. There's a lot to unpack there. So she was like, I'm just going to focus on being Tarquin. Being John Tarquin.
John Tarquin. Yeah, it was John Tarkovich.
Being John Tarkovich.
Yeah. So
Being Grand Moff John
Tark-
Tarkovich.
duck. All right.
Duck.
They go down and find another door, and they're like, "All right, let's dig into this shit." So there's a lead box that they find, and this is like she hears like a voice in her head, basically. Does Amryn hear this voice too? I don't remember.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Amber doesn't hear the voice until they go like down the stairs into the tomb, into the beyond the next door.
Yeah.
Like, and at this seal, it's just like
Or
this is just the yep. This is the seal that's just like prove to me that you're Tarkin. It's a talking seal.
I'm the seal at the door. Prove to me that you're Tarquin.
don't ask me what I think about people from China.
What?
I'm just said that the seal is a racist. We're gonna find out.
This is oh gosh.
I'm telling you, you don't fucking meet your heroes.
you're hi-fi.
He's kind of
Okay,
turning into
so-
Kermit the Frog.
Yuck.
Yep.
It's not a Kermit the Frog impression. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right.
We all know
So-
why Kermit
Was that
the Frog
was
quickly
that
turns into
was
Jordan
that supposed to be
Peterson.
Kermit the Frog?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's me, Kermit the Frog.
Hey, it's me, Kermit.
What is
I haven't seen
happening?
the
Yeah, I'm all
Muppets in a long time.
Herka durka durka, I'm Kermit the Frog.
Does he say that?
No,
no,
no.
that's like the
No,
Swedish chef.
That's
No,
Swedish
it's
chef.
not even a Swedish chef impression. It's just we're just doing things to irritate Patrick.
That might be true. I'm there's a weird
and hopefully we're not half our audience is just
I don't
turning
even
the
know.
podcast off
so
right
weird
now.
I'm
energy
having
going on
fun.
today.
It's a
Nero and I are
fucking
having
weird
fun.
energy.
I don't know if this is listenable.
No, not.
I don't think any of this is
No,
listenable.
I'm gonna try to edit this by like putting a better, different podcast over it, and see if it can like keep people engaged a little bit.
Just fucking scrap it, cut
Yeah.
it, bullshit. But also, I did wonder. They mentioned back to the book we're allegedly talking about, and not
Yeah.
Transformers or racism.
Transformers.
Fuck this. Fucking seals and Transformers.
Robots who are not as they seem is the tagline.
Is this the last episode of the podcast?
It
Are
might
we
be.
done?
Okay,
It
but
might-
if
if we
seals
don't,
and-
if we don't fucking pick it up, I think it might be.
All right. So lead
If
doors.
seals
is
were in Transformers, though, it'd be a better movie.
Okay.
Transformers seals that are in disguise.
So the question is, are they cars that transform into seals, or like big robots that transform into seals? Like, what is their disguise?
You're talking about
Yes.
a Selkie now.
No,
which is
Are
like
they
a-
seals? Are they
you're right.
Transformers seals in disguise, or
No, so the Autobots and Decepticons crash land on Earth from Cybertron. The first thing they see are seals.
Are
and they think
seals,
that
so they
seals are
transform into
cars, so they turn into
That
seals.
seals are cars?
They think seals are
I
cars.
thought you were gonna do like a Hitchhiker's Guide thing with like the dolphins and that, but you went in a different direction.
No.
We listen.
But,
Fair,
but lead doors.
So
lead
Farrah-
doors. Back to the
Farrah
book.
goes up. Yeah.
so
Farrah
Farrah
goes up to
disguises herself as Tarkin, physically
Yes.
changes her
She
appearance to
physically
Tarkin
changes, and then
to trick the door.
The door says yes, but then she gets the box, and the box is much smarter than this door.
So yeah, she slides down. They go down the staircase. They have to go through a second door, and like the second door, like she says, it feels so much of her energy being pulled away. It feels like it's gonna kill her.
Yeah.
And they get to the box, and then the box, which has the book inside, does actually talk out loud, and it's like, "Are you my master?"
And she's like, yes.
She's like, "Yes," and the box is like, "Okay," and then she's like, "Okay," and then she goes to steal, and the box just goes, "Liar."
Yeah. That she does.
And then
but
the
she
door
does-
closes and seals.
So importantly, she does.
shit.
No, listen to me. We can't do this. Importantly, she does get the book out of the box, but then the door seals them shut, basically, in there, and the chamber begins to flood.
Yep. And then Amarin pulls some fucking like legendary magic shit and like
Yeah.
busts the door open somehow, and then they swim out. But then the top of the chamber seals as well, and they're stuck in there with the water, like with it filling the chamber up. It was kind of hard to follow this, if I'm being totally honest.
I actually I'm gonna comment like on this part because just a compliment. The description of that Farrah is feeling as she is drowning was very visceral to the point that it made me uncomfortable physically to listen to it. So good work on that.
Yes.
I think I have a great fear of drowning, which like is a weird thing to say. Everyone's afraid of drowning, but like
No, but I also like I almost got like I actually almost drowned like
Yeah.
twice as a kid.
as
And
I had
like,
an experience where I like technically drowned as a child, which I did not like. Got
You had to
stuck
get pulled.
on-
Yeah. Did you get to pull? I got pulled like a kid was like holding me down in a
Mm.
pool. Didn't realize like he thought we were playing, and I just like got trapped into the water.
Oh.
And then I also like almost drowned in the ocean one time from like waves constantly crashing against me.
Mine was actually at scout camp because I was like a canoe, like I flipped in a canoe and the canoe like dragged me underwater and like I got trapped under it, and like thankfully I got rescued pretty quickly, but like I did like start inhaling water and stuff. It was pretty bad. I had to go to the hospital.
Oh, yours is worse than mine. I'm glad you told your story after mine.
Jesus. Anyway, so that kind of, that's one of those things I still like, it comes to mind when I hear about drowning, but regardless, I just think that part was well written to be like,
Yeah, man.
tense.
Whenever you have to read about drowning, you think about drowning. It sucks.
I'm talking about the real experience that happened to me. You know who never would drown? A seal. That's right. And that's
Anyways.
why they're trapped in there, and so they are unable to get out of there, and then Farrah starts to like actually start drowning, and then the door gets ripped open, and a group of water wraiths rescue her, and of course, we immediately know why. That's like repayment for her helping that other water wraith earlier, and they tell her that, hey, our sister's debt is now paid, and we're good now. And she's like, great. And gives him like a thumbs up while
They
he
And then she
immediately
and then
fuck
she
off
like
after
passes
this.
out. Right?
Yeah.
It's
But
funny.
I was
'Cause I think
also-
it was at the last episode or the episode before we talked about like, oh, they have to go to back to the spring court because like there's that loose thread of the water race that she repay, and they have to repay the debt at some point. But nope, no need to go
mean,
back to the spring court
no.
to end that plot. Yeah,
That's
we
true.
got that repayment here.
I do think this is a good, like a good way to tie that back in. I think it's interesting that like she, by being very like gracious and generous and kind-hearted, she earned this favor, and the favor was repaid to help her like in her quest to do something bad, which is like stealing something from someone who trusts her.
And Amryn even comments on that. Amryn,
Yeah.
I think, like back when they get back to the apartment or the house later, Amryn's like, curse your like thank God that you're just so good for no reason. And then they kind of have like a good laugh about it. Amryn's just like in disbelief
Yeah,
over that.
they have like their
over
like
just,
near
like,
death like camaraderie laugh of like
hysterics.
you fucking goody
Like, the two of them are
two-shoes,
laughing.
Of course you would like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the two of them are just like hysterics laughing when everyone else is like, please tell us what fucking happened. They're so confused.
Yeah.
We jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
So they get back onto the
But
beach.
yeah, they were successful in the heist, and we talked about like one of the things we're like, all right, well this heist can't go off without a hitch or be boring, right? Like what's the conflict that happens? And like the heist itself ends up being way more challenging than they thought it would be. They also get lured into a false sense of security where like every time they get to a new barrier, Amryn checks for like wards or traps, and there's never any wards and traps. And then when they take the book, then everything just seals and traps them in like a watery tomb, basically. And then we find out after the fact that, because they're like, where the fuck is Reese this entire time? Find out after the fact that this whole time while they're struggling, Reese is going around like knocking out
he's like
guard
doing hitman
guard
knockouts,
after
basically.
yes.
Like he's going around and like using like a garrote wire to like choke out people from behind, like crouching. Basically
Guard
around
after,
the beach.
or he's doing an Assassin's Creed thing where he's hiding in a bale of hay, and every time a new guard walks by, he grabs him and
puts
pulls
him in the
into that
same bale of hay. Yeah.
the same bale of
Yeah.
hay. So there's like 12 guards in one bale of hay.
That's likely what he was doing. But yeah, I was imagining like one of those hitman piles where like you're in a room and you kill somebody and someone hears something and then they have to come check it out, so you have to kill them in the room and then another person hears them, and soon you just have a pile of like 20 bodies in this room.
But Reese does do kind of the stupid thing. Like, you think about, okay, like if I was asking the two of you, hey, if you had mind control powers, how would you distract guards from going to a certain area? And the obvious answer is you just stand there, and whenever a guard shows up, you go into their mind and make them forget what they're investigating, right? No, fucking wrong. He just knocks them all out manually, doesn't affect their memory at all. That comes back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, they do bring this back in I think it's the next chapter, which we'll get to, but it is, and they acknowledge it, but it is one of those not a plot hole, but plot contrivances that really didn't need to exist. Like, they could have found another way to make this happen without
any amount of planning.
Yeah. But yeah, they get back to Valaris.
This whole heist, I mean, not to drag it too much, but the whole thing feels a lot of like, all right, we have to have a conflict. What would that conflict be? And we need to have fallout from this conflict. But how do we resolve the conflict? And a lot of it feels kind of convenient. Like, we're kind of just having to like a lot of hand wavy. Like, I was actually listening to them being saved by the water wraiths in the car with Alexa, and I asked Alexa, I was like, how do the water wraiths even know? Like, this place is the whole continent is so fucking big. How do the water wraiths know that she was drowning and get there to rip her out of the water? And Alexa just hand waves and goes, magic. I'm like, yeah, I guess.
I
Like,
also
whatever.
had that thought, and
I won't think about it too much.
This honestly, this did feel like, and then the rest of this, like the later part of these chapters are amazing. I loved these chapter sets, and this book has been great. This part really did feel like somehow like, fuck, like, I don't know where I'm going with this. Like, yeah, we got to create a conflict, and like, you know what? Fucking tired. Like, fuck this. I'm just gonna like.
I mean, I still like it wasn't bad. I still like liked it just fine,
Yes.
but it felt like one of those things where I'm just like, don't think about it too hard.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
as
I
far
think
as
it's
the other
just-
things that they've tried to explain, like they didn't. Sorry, Nero, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like I think it did just feel like one of those things where it's like somebody has done something perhaps illogical or unreasonable to their character in order to create a little more conflict, to like keep the plot going a little longer. Like, so I'm not like criticizing it too much, honestly, because I really like the rest of this section that we read today, and there's like a lot of shit that happens that's very interesting. So
And Reese kind of explains it too. Reese kind of, I mean, we can kind of also like kind of write this off as like no one's perfect, right? And Reese even says like his exact explanation for why he didn't
shrugs
use
and
his
he
mind.
says, "Po buddy's nerfed."
But his exact explanation for why he didn't use his mind powers is like he was so like he kind of was a little panicked almost of how everything was going sideways, and he was so focused on his Illyrian training of like neutralizing guards that he forgot about the other tools that he has at his disposal, specifically his mind stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of just ends up being a broader representation of everything else he's done has been perfectly planned, perfectly executed, but like you can't possibly control everything. Like you're gonna fuck up at some point.
That's true. I think this is
more of
in that light. I kind of like it a little better because like I think Reese has been pretty like precise. He's done a lot. Basically, all we've seen him do since we met him is like have a plan and execute the plan perfectly, and things go like the way he
super
wants.
calculated. Like everything is crazy calculated.
So it definitely makes the character a little more endearing, I guess, if he's like fucks up here and there. So.
But this part, this chapter, dude, I am a sucker for the lore that happens here. Anytime, like as we're gonna get to, anytime you introduce like an extra planar deity that's like, or like a fallen angel type of character, I'm so in there. Like,
what are you talking about?
Fucking Amryn. What are you talking about?
Oh, Amryn's backstory. Okay.
Yeah, like this next part, like anytime you do like the Doom series, like the like reboot Doom, Diablo, the similar stuff there, like I'm a sucker for it. So
yeah, fair enough.
This part I was like, I'm so in. Yeah, they get back and like they finally have their moment of like, hey, we're alive. Like that fucking sucked. I'm gonna go take a bath and like, I'm going to sleep. And then eventually they are going to unlock the box. The box is talking again, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this? This is insane. He keeps calling her a liar, which is like the box's favorite word, or the book's favorite word.
And then she does neutralize the box and then open it and pull the book out.
I like the
light
idea that
calls to like
the box is doing like Phoenix Wright like projections, like that's wrong,
liar.
Yeah, like a little speech bubble comes out of it. But yeah,
this book is not like a book how you would traditionally think of it. It is a book on metal plates bound by 3 rings of silver, gold, and bronze. And they find out that the language on it, shocker, is not the common tongue of Fae and humans, but is an ancient alphabet that no one knows except for Amryn, because as not Tamlin, almost said Tamlin, almost forgot about that piece of shit. But no, so Reese, he had theorized that, or already knew that this book was going to be written in the language of the kind of forgotten race that had come to this world and had vanished, except for Amryn. So that's why Amryn was involved in this.
He was like pretty confident, but he wasn't 100% sure, which is why he didn't tell her. Because we almost had one of these moments of like, oh, once again, Reese is like pulling the wool over the eyes of one of his companions. But then he kind of comes out and says like, hey, the reason I didn't tell you this is because I wasn't 100% sure and I didn't want you to get your hopes up. But like now that we know for sure that the book is this other old fancy language, there's a chance she can use once she pairs the 2 books together, she can use the 2 books to like so she can return back to wherever she was banished from.
Right. Which like was, I think, like indiscriminate number of years ago, like thousands of years ago or something, right?
Yeah, it was like it was like when the cauldron had formed.
The before times.
Yeah,
it was BC, before cauldron.
Yeah. Which and oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
Which and also they do explain that part of this, like, and this is where this I was like, this lore is so good. Like this part is, I genuinely was like, what the fuck? Like we went through this like part where you kind of yada some plot or some like character inconsistencies, and then you drop this lore that I'm super into. But like the book was written in the language that Amryn says is Lishan Hakodesh, or the Holy Tongue, which I'm like, okay, cool, I'm a sucker for that. But it was, I guess, when whatever her we still don't know whatever like race of eldritch deity she was from this other plane of existence came to not Earth. What is the I keep forgetting
Fairy Town.
Fairy Town. Because I'm just drawing a blank really hard right now. We talked about
Prithian?
Transformers. Prithian. We talked about Transformers for too long.
Yeah, you're right. Transformers
Yes.
famously from
when they
Earth.
came to Cybertron. But they were they were the ones that created this book as a way to combat the Cauldron's power. So that's why that was kind of the theory behind this, and the history of this book was it was not something ever created by fairies, but rather Amren's race had created this as a way to combat the Cauldron.
Serious Lord of the Rings vibes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, like the ancient tongue and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm curious about what she is. Patrick, I'm starting to lean more towards what you said, which is that like I think the end of this book, Amren's gonna get like unleashed from her like human body or whatever.
Yeah, there's no way she's gonna return back to her realm without us seeing what she is.
Yeah.
So
So,
I
like,
will
I
say,
was just saying I was leaning towards it happening in this book rather than the next book, though.
I did have
Oh.
I did have a friend, an IRL friend and listener, tell me, and it's Megan. I'll give her credit.
Great.
She did specifically say, has somebody spoiled the rest of these books for you because your predictions were incredibly accurate?
Ooh.
All of ours or yours specifically?
She had messaged me.
She didn't message me.
She did, yeah. So it was not a general. So I don't know. I think it was more about my predictions.
Interesting. Okay.
But also,
Yeah.
I think Amren nuking the world is also,
That was like I said, like a few weeks ago or a few episodes ago, even like Lindsay told me, like you guys hit such a specific thing that's going to happen, and I have no idea how you did, but you don't even know it.
yeah.
So maybe that's
My
what she was
guess,
referring to.
honestly, after like re-listening, my guess is what it's about Reese and Farah's child who they saw in the bone prison,
Ooh, could be. Yeah.
the bone carver. That was Joe's prediction to who that kid was, being their like unborn child. My guess is that's the one that Lindsay was referring to, because I remember Lindsay said that, and then I went back and listened to that episode to see what the predictions were, and then that's something that Joe said. I'm like, oh, this is a pretty random, niche, out there prediction that I could totally see
I can see
being
that.
right.
I think that could definitely be it, which makes me think that maybe there's a time skip coming up or something.
Was that also when I predicted the Ianthe stuff, or was that a different episode?
That was like
So the problem with Ianthe is you've had your
so
strategy
right
with Ianthe is throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. you've
So
so
the guy
far
that has
said
every
Ianthe.
single episode said, "Oh, Tamlin's coming back."
Tamlin's coming
Like,
back, dude. Are you kidding? He's
I've stopped doing that as of a couple episodes ago. I've given up on that. Tamlin's not even in the rest of this book. That's my new prediction. Tamlin's not in this book in the series again until the
now
next
that you
book.
said that, the very next chapter will have him in it, like 100%.
No, I mean, like, I think Joe has predicted that Ianthe's a double agent for 3 different sides now at this point.
That
She's
a
playing
triple
all
agent.
sides, so she always,
always
comes out on top.
I know we have said that, but we started off saying she's playing all sides, so she comes out on top between
I'm right.
Highburn and the Fairy Realm. But then you predict that she was playing it between the Spring Court and the Night Court, and then
No,
I don't
she's
know.
playing the Spring Court against the Night Court for Highburn. What part of this don't you get? I will put real money
that
on
is
this.
not what
want
you
to.
said
I will put real
originally.
fucking money on this.
You have changed your prediction
No.
before.
I will put real
Yes.
fucking money on this.
Don't make me go back and listen to the old episodes. I don't want to do that. That's so much of us talking that I don't want to listen to just to prove me
Fine.
right.
Always
I'll
a good
take-
sign when you don't want to listen to the thing you're peddling.
Fine,
to
I'll
other
take
people.
this to the mod chat at the mod
Do you
group,
do
and I will
you
put
want to
real
go
money
back
on
and
this.
listen?
I don't
to
want
your,
to, but I do for the love of the game.
Yes. Whatever episode I said it in, I'm gonna listen to it and I'll put real hard money
No,
on
you
it.
had 2 different episodes that you've made this prediction in, and it's been a little different every time. No fucking Mac computer. I don't want to turn hand gestures on. Get out of here.
What?
I did
are you
a
talking
peace sign. I'm like, you know that with the Mac computers or or any like Apple product, if you do certain gestures on the camera, it will like have balloons or confetti show up
I've
on the
never
screen.
heard of this. No.
Please, you've never seen that? I can't derail this.
I don't
He's just
have
trying
any
to
app-
get, he's just trying to get
I-
out of, he's trying to distract from trying to get away from
Wow.
this.
Jesus.
No,
I don't have any
Mr.
Apple devices.
Mr. Tamlin's Mr. Somehow Tamlin returned. No, we're gonna talk about this.
Why does a thumbs up create fireworks? What's the
2 thumbs up create
I've lost-
fireworks.
I've
One
lost this.
one peace sign does balloons. 2 peace signs I think does confetti. Yep.
Oh man, it doesn't work.
What does this do, Patrick? What does this do? What does this do?
That was pretty good.
Nothing, actually.
That's 2 middle
Apparently
fingers
nothing.
for the auditory medium.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Joe's had multiple different Anthony predictions, and he can't tell which one's real.
Go fuck yourself.
All right. Well, on that note, let's continue. Okay, so blah blah blah. What were we just talking about?
They end with questioning the like, hey, why is, and this is the thought we all kind of had, is like, why is the King of Highburn right?
Why does he want Jurian back? Like,
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he can resurrect. Why not just have like a cultist sacrifice themselves, resurrect them, and you have a loyal follower? And they kind of just then throw some random names like, oh, Jurian wants him to resurrect Miriam, his former lover, and then also he wants to get revenge on Draken for winning her heart.
Yeah.
And even Feyre's like, you know what? I'm tired, but tomorrow I'm going to ask them who the fuck these people are.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was in the car with Alexa during this bit, and I was like, am I supposed to know who these people are? What are these names? And then right after I said that, Feyre said that. I was like, yeah, okay, Feyre's got my... She knows.
I was worried. Because I heard, he wants to get revenge on Draken. And I was like, what? Who is that? Is that the bad guy from Kim Possible? And it is.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Draken was the bad guy from Kim Possible, the blue guy. So make sure to check that out. So in my head, that'll just be him now.
God, we have referenced so many fucking different intellectual properties today.
Just wait till Severance comes up in a couple chapters.
Wait. What's going to happen?
I said just wait until Severance is going to come up in a couple chapters.
We're going to chapter 38 now.
We're skipping. Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
We're going to chapter 38 now.
All right.
We already did 38.
This is where finally, like, a wooden box arrives at the summer court. And there were 3 ruby... Or, so I guess, really what happens... This summer is not great here for a second, but Feyre walks outside to, like, the balcony. She's like, oh, today's a nice, mild day. I'm going to hang outside. And she sees Rhys just drinking, like, a giant decanter of, like, high Fey whiskey. And is just
He's not drinking out of the decanter. He's not that uncivilized. He's pouring himself glasses of whiskey.
Yes. But he's visibly drunk already.
Yeah.
And just like solemn and depressed. And she sees that there is a wooden box, and there is... She kind of...
She opens she asks what the box is about, and he opens it, and there's 3 blood rubies in it, and they explain that when you've committed a grave insult against another court, I think against the Summer Court specifically, they send you a blood ruby to say you're marked for death. Basically a threat. So there are 3 in there, 1 for Rhys, 1 for Feyre, 1 for Amren. And he hasn't told Amren yet because he's afraid that once he tells her that she's going to just wipe the Summer Court city off the map. But he's just kind of he's brooding about how this was all his fault because he didn't do the play. He didn't wipe their minds, as we were talking about earlier. Like, he didn't do everything correctly, so like now he's put everyone in danger. And Feyre's like, chill out. And then Feyre does a good thing where she starts reflecting. Oh, what's up?
Oh, well, there was more to it too about why he was disappointed with all this. Was like the guilt of like that he carries of caring for his friends, protecting his friends, and like the plan and everything, and that he did objectively a really fucking stupid thing for not just mind wiping them. But also, as he kind of revealed to Feyre when they were at the Summer Court, was he doesn't like that he has to put the mask on of being the monster, and that nobody sees him as somebody that can be loved or trusted. And that finally he had somebody that had, in Tarquin, who, even if it was just ambition, that would have trusted him, that wanted to he could have seen being a friend to him, and finally had somebody like that, but because he had to sacrifice it for the mission, he couldn't have that. So it was also this kind of finally giving himself a moment to actually feel the feelings of, this is really fucking rough, the things I'm sacrificing for, this endeavor in war.
Hey man, it's hard to make friends as an adult. Rhys gets it.
That's true. Yeah, and it is sad because Rhys really does lament, man, I really thought we could have been friends. I think the two of us have similar ideals, and we could have done some work together to make things better. But I think I've had to throw that away, and I think he's also makes it clear he's I did what I had to do, right? If this is the price of getting this book and like stopping this war and everything is the hatred of the Summer Court for the next 500 years, then that's something I'm gonna live with.
I am curious. I'm curious how much of what Tarkin's sending the blood rubies is a formality or not. Like, I'm wondering if he's going to actually act on it, or if that's Tarkin just being like, this is something I have to do to like maintain face. Because as we find out later, let's jump ahead a tiny bit. When Feyre goes to visit Amryn, Amryn's using the blood ruby as a paperweight, and she's like she's like whatever about it. And Feyre's kind of like, why don't you care? Did Rhys convince you not to level the city? And she's like, no, he didn't. What maybe changed my mind is I forgot his name. Varian. Yeah. Varian sent her like a really, really expensive like necklace of some sort from the Summer Court to ease the blow of the blood ruby. So there's part of me that's like, okay, like is the Summer Court really going to act on this assassination order, or are they just sending this because they have to like put on a face and they have to show that like this was technically an insult, but like maybe Tarkin kind of knows, like maybe he kind of gets a sense that they had. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being optimistic.
No,
but
I think you're right. Because like Tarkin, right, yeah, like even with the Tamlin like killing one of his like a member of his court, and he still gave Tamlin not Tamlin. I keep saying fucking Tamlin. I got Tamlin.
So confused for a second.
Tamlin brain.
I got Tamlin on the brain. When Rhys,
how's that Tamlin fanfic you wrote, by the way, going?
Man, it is horny.
It's nice. Between Tamlin and the seal that lives in the Summer Court. Also, I think Varian might be like an anagram of my name, or I guess there's one extra A. Okay, so it's like a Nirav or Nirav A.
Nirava? I like Nirava, yeah.
Anyway, one thing, my read on the thing with Tarquin was that like I think that I think partially it's a formality, but like about the rubies, but I think that he is insulted, but only because he's gonna like tell Feyre like, bro, if you had told me what was going on, I would have given it to you. You know what I mean?
but Feyre even thought that. She had that thought. She was like wondering like, oh, maybe I wonder if I. Oh yeah,
and I'm not saying it's her fault because Rhys is the one who ultimately made the call of like, we have to like keep everyone in the dark about this. Like if
but when Feyre brought up. But when Feyre brought up that temple when she was talking to Tarkin and co, they brought up the temple and then they exchanged nervous glances and were like very dodgy about, like they're super cagey about that, and they were like didn't want to talk about it at all. So that was kind of her testing the water, no pun intended. And they seemed, they didn't want to talk about it at all. So I don't know. I don't know if they would have actually given it to them or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's at least what's going to... I don't know, because I think Feyre even says, like, if you let me... Or rather, it was in the last set of chapters, but she was like, look, like, if we stay here a little while and you let me, like, get to know him, like, I think he will be on our side and will just help us. Like, and he's like, no, like, that's not the plan, like... And, he might be right that, like, it's too dangerous to let anyone know what they're doing, but, like... I don't know. At the same time, I think I'm still on the team that like I think that eventually Tarquin would have like helped them, and even if it wasn't just like giving them the book, but being like, I want to be part of this. I want to be in on this. You know what I mean? Like,
but even if he wanted to do it, who's to say that his court would be? I mean, you're right. Because I don't think the question as well.
Yeah, he clearly doesn't have like the undying loyalty of his court, being that he's like pretty new still. Like,
he's very young. He was.
Yeah.
What? He was like 50. No, he was 80. He was 80.
The thing is, he's only been the High Lord for like 6 months or whatever. Like,
no, more than that. He became the High Lord right when Amarantha took over because she killed.
He'd been for 50 years. He started when he was 30, I think, was what it was.
Oh wait,
but he became High Lord when they went into imprisonment under the mountains.
Yes. Okay,
so he only ever like he's only ever like kind of been High Lord for 6 months because. Like his other entire time being High Lord before this, they were like all in imprisonment.
Right. Okay.
So
yeah. I mean, yeah. That's a good point. Is that like I don't know that he feels like that secure that everyone would side with him if he was like, we need to do this crazy dangerous thing. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I get why Rhys did what he did, but I'm just saying I think Tarquin will be upset because of that less than like you robbed me is all.
No, yeah, I agree with both of y'all on this.
So yeah, Reese is obviously, he's getting drunk, and she's like, "You're drunk," and he's like, "No, I'm drinking. That's different than drunk." Blech.
And then Farah decides that she wants to like help him, and she reflects back on all the times that she's been like in the dumps.
Yeah.
And he has like got like really like just put a lot of effort into trying to cheer her up in some capacity. And so she just like decides to just go all in on like flirting, and even when he's like, "I'm not really in the mood," she just kind of keeps laying it on thick.
Sorry, Patrick, you did this with your hand, and like a shine went across your screen, like it was like polishing glass.
It was the whisker of my cat, whose face is directly above the monitor right now.
Okay, so that wasn't an Apple like effect.
No, that was not an Apple effect.
Okay,
that was a waffles effect.
Okay, hello waffles. Yeah, like, okay, so I think I am a little bit less excited about this part, because like even after he was like, "Look, I'm not in the mood," she just like really goes in, doubles down on it, like where I don't know, I was like, I don't know, man, I don't think that's good. Like if somebody's like, "Hey man, I'm not in the mood," like you maybe shouldn't do that generally. However,
I guess it depends.
It
depends on your relationship with that person, though,
right?
right?
But like it does seem to end up working, so I guess it's like, all right.
Well, that's not the message to take away from this. But in the context
a
of
no
this,
can be a yes if it works.
Yes, a no is just a yes.
A yes waiting to happen. Yeah.
A yes waiting to happen. Yeah. But like it's their relationship, and also like I think in the context of this being like fantasy, what he's doing to her the entire time, not okay in real life in the slightest. But because it's fantasy and you have the distance, it is like you can get into it. So in this case, kind of the normal rules of social mores are not really here. So
Social,
yeah, dude. I was thinking of social mores love hanging out with seals.
Well, then also, if you don't like that, her doing that, like also all he's done is like sexually harass her for 2 books straight. So like, I'm like, yeah, fuck this guy. Like, he can get sexually harassed. He
sexually harassed her at the end of the first book. I would not say he's been sexually harassing her this whole book.
He has still sexually harassed her. Like we are.
There's a line between sexual harassment and
as an audience,
flirting.
we're into it because we
would
know
an
we're
impartial
fuck,
would
like,
an impartial like would look. I don't know who's the HR rep for like the Court of Dreams or whatever, but like. They are not doing their job. That's all I'm going to say.
So that's a good point. Is if this were an actual professional workplace, then they're absolutely violating regular workplace laws. But I don't. I think he's just like flirting.
We have not. No, he has done this the entire book, and now that it's flipped, we have a problem. I'm not going to stand for it. No,
not this time.
Why do we have a problem? What are you talking about? We don't have a problem.
Near had a problem.
Lindsay just texted me and said, "You guys need to create a jingle for Joe's hot takes."
Is she listening to our old episode right now?
No, she's not here. She's probably listening to the episode we put out today.
Holy shit, that's good timing.
That's
nice.
That's funny timing.
But yeah, anyway, so I'll come up with some sort of jingle for that. I don't know though. Like maybe. Sorry, I completely lost my track. I'm just gonna say.
Make sure if you create a jingle, it's short though. Otherwise, half the episode's gonna be you playing that jingle over and over again as Joe's hot takes are continuous.
Okay. I'm just saying, as we all know, in a romantasy book or like any sort of sexual fantasy, sexual harassment can be okay. Just not in real life.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I don't know.
I don't like saying that out loud, but I mean,
I don't know if sexual harassment.
I don't know. Like. Obviously, in a safe consenting situation, which is reading a book,
yeah, I guess that's true.
If the characters are consenting, that's not sexual.
Yeah, but
harassment
they're written to consent. I'm just saying, in every other situation, this would not be okay, but they are written to ultimately consent.
Okay, Joe is basically just saying, don't try this at home. I think.
Yeah, don't talk to women this way. Don't.
I mean, I think that applies to just like most things in books.
Yeah, I feel like in How to Train Your Dragon, there was a part where they jump on the back of the dragon. Don't do that at home. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these books, like as we talked about with people like IRLs, like it's a way to explore fantasies in a safe setting. like the
Yeah, no, that's a
sexual
good way to
side of
put. I
this.
think that's
Yeah.
a good way to put it. But I think I will agree with the. I will say, one, yes, don't try this at home. Two, I think most people know that. Like, I don't think that's like a thing we have to.
I don't think we have to
re-express.
add that caveat whenever two characters are flirting in slightly
Well, I'm only saying
risque
it because
ways
Nirav
to
said
not do
like,
this at
oh, he
home.
didn't like this part because Reese said no.
I just said, yeah. No, I mean, I didn't like, but that's the point I was making was that like in real life I would be like uncomfortable about this if somebody said like I'm not feeling this right now and then you like pushed it anyway. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Don't do this in real life.
Just yeah, but anyway, we've spent
Yeah,
too long
boundaries
on
are
this.
super
So
important.
Farrah's like, I'm gonna go buy some lingerie across the street. Do you want to come? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, what if you did? And they basically go back and forth for a little while about this lacy underwear, etc., etc. And
Well, she starts to describe it kind of.
yeah,
right? And
she gets a
then
little into it. Yeah, for sure.
He kind of starts to buy into it eventually.
Yeah, they were going to do it, but then Asriel shows up and is arriving, and she bounces
yeah,
right
he,
before
like,
that. Or actually, Tamlin like
not
immediately
Tamlin.
kind of.
Tamlin
Nope.
is not
What is
here.
happening to me? What is happening to me?
You're just
Dude.
super Tamlin shilled.
Do you say Tamlin shield? Yeah.
Yeah.
God
I
damn
mean,
it,
dude,
Reese.
I hate when people.
What
are
is
Tamlin
happening to
pilled.
me? Reese like gets up and like does like the kind of puts his arms on the chair next to her and leans over and is like kind of be like, oh, let's go do it if you're so serious.
Right. Yeah. And then Asriel,
And then
of
as
course,
she's-
like shows
as
up
she's-
and he's like the blocker. He just like cock blocks them.
Yep. And then as she's walking away, she starts having a fantasy of like, oh, what would happen
Yeah,
if we went
okay.
if we went to the Lacey store? What would happen? Like
Dude, it's
he
pretty
would
sexy
start
fantasy.
looking.
That- okay,
pretty good.
It's a good fantasy.
It's
and then he
really
starts like
good.
looking. Yeah, it's this whole fantasy playing on in her head, and then she gets flushed. And then she realizes that her mental shield. Then she hears laughter in her head, and realizes her mental shield is down, and finds out that fantasy was not her fantasy. It was a fantasy that Reese had put into her head.
Commendation on this part. This is a very clever way to like give the audience the like watching them like do this, but like not actually have it happen yet. So there's
Yeah.
still tension to wait for it to happen.
Dude,
So-
this and then later what happens in the last chapter we're gonna touch on.
Yeah,
They're building so
way more
much
intense.
sexual
that was
tension.
that was way more intense. Oh my god.
These are some horny chapters that are written very well.
And they're building so much sexual tension that when it finally happens, it's going to be fucking
Yeah,
huge.
dude. I had to like roll the window down for this part.
Yeah, I had my
So you
fan
could
out. I
blast
was
it, and
like,
everyone else could listen to what you were listening to.
Yes. I was on the interstate and I was trying to go slowly and like turn the volume up as much as I could next to other cars.
You just want other cars to be like, and then he eyed my body.
Yeah. My breasts danced for him. But anyway, yeah, it was so good work on that part. However, we do move to the next thing, which is a little less sexy.
dude,
which
we
is-
went from me complaining about too much teeth to genuinely getting like
Reese uses a
into
normal amount of
these-
teeth. We don't have any
yeah.
problems here.
Dude, Reese knows what he's doing.
I think okay, so the next thing is that Resend is basically having a nightmare, and the nightmare he is having is through his power, like sort of amplified, so that it is like being felt through the house, essentially. And so like
Not even just felt like there's like a
Yeah, like,
physical
physically
like
felt,
black
sorry, yeah.
fog.
Yeah.
There's like a black fog filling the house.
and so she's
not
like,
even that, it's
what
like-
the
it's-
fuck?
I always picture when they describe darkness, I pictured like
Tendrils.
all like true like just pitch black darkness with like kind of a few like white, almost distant starlights kind of flickering around in it almost.
Ooh.
Some video game shit.
Yeah. Just creeping along the walls, like just kind of inching its way around.
Yeah. So anyway, she gets to his room, tries to wake him up, and he has this like really visceral reflex that he like grabs her, and his muscles are very hard and very cold. I think she says 3 times. But
Unfortunately, one muscle is not hard or cold.
that's true.
Not till chapter 42.
Little bit
Nice.
later. So basically she finally is able to get him to wake up, although he's kind of like thrashing and obviously having a reaction to what is in his head. and
she slaps him across the face, and then eventually he like flips over on top of her and puts like a hand to her throat, but not hard. Like she specifically mentions it's like a gentle hand to her throat. And then he finally comes to and realizes it's Farah.
Yeah,
and he's also like she also realizes when he flips her. Yeah, actually, I think maybe you already mentioned it. Yeah, when he flips on top of her, she realizes that he's completely nude.
Yes,
like he sleeps totally naked.
Of course he does.
And she's like, I was trying not to look down, and then I looked, and then I saw his knees. Like I was trying not to let my gaze go too far down, but I noticed the tattoos on his knees. I'm like, you skipped over something if you're looking down his body and then you see his knees.
She like she like moved her head like this in like a semicircle.
The description was she was not going to look down, but eventually she gave in and was going to look at his dick. But the tattoos on her knees distracted her from the dick.
Or his knees, yeah. But
that has to be some wild tattoos to do that, because as we find out later, Reese is apparently very well endowed.
What? Wow. I didn't suspect that. That's crazy.
Are you kidding me? In chapter 42, she literally talks about it.
No,
wow.
I'm making a joke. God, like,
oh, okay.
It's like, wow, the fucking love interest of this romance book is well endowed. Crazy. I've never heard of that happening. No, so Reese has like he's these tattoos on his knees of like of a mountain and 3 stars over them, and she asks about the tattoos, and he says it's I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but he says like, so like I like something about kneeling.
He explains it later. He doesn't explain the tattoos now. She asked about the tattoos later, and it's like they're reminded that he will kneel before no crown but his own or something like that.
It was something like that, yeah. So anyway, she asks him like, how often do you have these nightmares? And he's like, I knew exactly what he was going to say. He's like, about as often as you. Which I think was pretty solid, like, you know, another connection point for them. And like, you know, he I think at this moment, like, Reese has had like obviously a very bad day followed by like some really bad nightmares, and I think he talks about this a little bit later too, but like I think he allows himself to be like a little more vulnerable in this moment than he has been generally with her, which is, I think, solid and good. That's a pretty good job. So she, you know, she leaves, and then she's like, I'm going to paint you like one of my French girls. And then, like, so just, like, have, like, Reese, like, lying out on, like, a couch, like Titanic, basically.
I do like the idea of that. Yeah, she did. I think she mentioned
kneeling,
either before.
Like, I thought he was, like, kneeling, kind of doing like a power kneel, like a sulking.
Like a superhero
landing? I was imagining like a very
dog.
like defeated kneel, like he's on both knees, like back arched,
Yes.
his wings are slumped over the whole bed, like his head is bowed, like he's just like
dick touching the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, probably.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe he's leaning on his dick, doing like the tripod thing.
Ooh.
So he's on both of his knees, leaning forward slightly,
pivot
balancing.
push-ups. Yeah.
Dick wrapped around his thigh like a snake.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Fucking fire
so
his penis.
So all of that happens canonically. Okay, and then we go to the next day. Farah finds like a text from Reese in the morning or something, and so she writes back to him, and that's when she asks about that tattoo.
Oh, that's when she asked about the tattoo. Yeah, you're right.
I will bow before no one and nothing but my crown. And so then
Which
Farah,
immediately my thought was when he said, I'll bow before no one and nothing but my crown, he's going to eat her out by kneeling in front of her for
Oh my
sure.
God.
100%.
Batman would never.
Batman would never? What?
Yeah, you don't know, but you don't remember that?
I don't. What?
Oh,
Sorry.
dude, there was like a comic from a while ago where like Batman, like the comic was made so Batman went down on Catwoman.
Yes.
And
okay,
then
I
like
remember this. Okay.
and then like DC as an entity or so got like mad and like backpedaled to like Batman would never do that. My son's home from daycare.
Batman can't please a woman.
No.
Yeah, everyone was so mad about that. Like, excuse me, Batman would never go down on a woman like that. Please.
They don't want to make him. Yeah, I guess they don't want to make him like unrelatable to some of the people, the shitty
look
people
up to
who
him.
yeah. Okay, so
But
Anyway.
Dick Grayson, though, Nightwing goes down.
No, he does 100%.
Yeah.
Nightwing 1,000%
Canonically.
goes down.
Especially when he turns into Nightwing. Like Robin, but Nightwing.
No. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Robin's a minor. We can't say
that's
that.
fair. That's fair.
Gracious.
Nightwing's a man.
We can say whatever we want about him.
Yeah.
So Feyre goes to check up on like how Amren's doing with like the book translating, and sorry, Ellie, do you have a question? You want to contribute to this? Yeah.
She rolls into Amren's apartment. That's when we see like the blood stone, which I referred to earlier, and like how Amren's kind of over it. But Amren looks like super weathered and worn out from, I'm guessing, days of just poring over this book, trying to read. She's saying she's like trying to relearn this ancient language.
Yeah. So just to clarify for me, because I think I didn't get it completely. Like, she used to know this language so fucking long ago, and she's basically trying to read this and recall the language as best she can while she's like trying to decipher this. Is that the idea?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that she's basically just unable to do it very quickly. It's taking a long time to translate through these things, but Amren. I remember this note about like Amren saying like, "Oh, I can't decide if Varian wants me or hates me," and I think Feyre says to her like, "Why not both?" Or something like that.
I thought it was vice versa. I think
Was it vice versa?
Yeah, I think this our bookworm friend flipped those two.
Okay. I've got to remove this.
Yeah, Feyre asks Amren that. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Because
that?
Amren's like a multi-dimensional thousands and thousands of years old being. She's not wondering about this.
No, and Varian's just like, he's just some guy, right? Like
Yeah.
he's not some
He's
special. He's just
Cressada's
a regular
brother.
summer court dude. Cousin, I thought.
I don't know, fucking family. I don't know.
Oh, Cressada's brother. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yes, Cressada's brother, which Tarkin's cousin. Yeah, I'm
just
kind of
trying
curious.
not to say
Like,
Tamlin. I'm just trying to get my mind back together. I don't know what happened.
literally, that fanfic you're writing is fucking ruining you. This isn't a
Killing
bit,
me,
by the
man.
way. Joe
Amren-
is actually writing a fanfic.
Amren plus
Deep.
Tarquin is Tamlin almost, so you can kind of like fuse their names together.
Make excuses however you want. Joe is so deep
don't-
into Tamlin right now.
When the fanfic, when it comes out, when the manuscripts are
When
released,
Tamlin comes,
Yeah.
well, he already has. I mean, that's like page 1. I mean, why else would I be doing this?
Page 1 comes.
the book
Yeah.
opens with
It
Tamlin
opens with-
climaxing.
Yeah,
We are no Joe. We know we are. It's been
Yeah.
well established that Joe hates foreplay. Joe hates any kind of romantic tropes. So by getting around this, the page 1 of his fanfic is Tamlin.
This is
Climaxing.
Yeah, wildly. And then the next 45 pages are just like slow lore dumps.
it's
Yeah,
it's-
language lore dumps. Okay, so page 1 is Tamlin climaxing, and then it's 45 pages
Of him at the library, like we're reading about
of him in the
ancient
library
race.
learning about foreign languages.
Oh man, that sounds like a good story.
So since you asked, since we were on the topic, what it actually is, you're right. He comes on the first page. It's all caps. "I'm coming" is the first line of dialogue uttered in the book, but it's Tamlin trying to write the Prithian version of the Kama Sutra.
Oh.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's Tamlin writing that. Where is there still lore dumping there? Because I know you need some amount of lore dumping in there about foreign languages.
So
Yeah.
I haven't. So I get too worked up when I'm writing it, and so I'll just, when I get to a part where there's lore, I just do brackets lore, and then I get back to what I'm writing, and it's just placeholders for lore. I'll get to that part.
Okay, and then when do you start dragging certain protected groups?
The protect. Oh my god. Okay, we got to keep going. Look, there's Joe. What's the name of your fan fiction? Sorry, I didn't ask.
Tamlin's Hams.
Hamlin? It's Hamlin.
Hamlin.
We talked about this. This is like a book. This is like a book.
Yeah, you
one
all
joke.
shit on me, and it took off. Everyone loved it. You all shit on me. You said it was
That's
stupid.
true. People did like it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Look,
it's
this
just called
erotica is going
Tamlin's
to top the
Hams,
charts. Tamlin's Hams.
buddy. All right. So Feyre is training with Cassie, and she's learning about swords, and then she spends every day training with Reese, and he also he lore dumps basically every day while they're training, which is really cool. And but he teaches her about
I just want to fucking like, I want a karate master like that who just lore dumps about like ancient battles.
Yeah. So we learned about some of the other courts, the autumn court, the winter court, and the day court. I remember when they said like it's like and Helion, and I was like, I wonder if Helion is from the day court.
No, but these names are great. They're like, oh yeah, there's Baron, he's from the autumn court, whatever. There's Callie, he's from the winter court, yeah, he's whatever. Then there's Helion, also known as Spell Cleaver.
Yeah,
just like hell.
So,
like he has a big staff and he has like 1,000 libraries. Like,
yeah, he has a dude, he has
and they're
1,000.
really good at spell work, which is I'm like, oh, they have spells, and I guess that makes sense. But they're just like, oh, they're just all. So Helion is just like all the day court are just wizards, right?
Yeah.
I swear the first thing I thought of when I heard he had 1,000 libraries, I was like, well, one of them's a racist library, right? It's gotta be.
So, okay, so the implication there is that all racist books have been pulled out of the other 999 libraries and consolidated into one racist library.
And that's the one that was actually the one that Mel Gibson built.
Man, if you
he donated a bunch of money to it, so it's named after him. It says Mel Gibson's Racist Library.
And imagine like you're a college student, like you're sent there, you gotta get that one book for like to do that essay, but now you're branded a racist because you went to the racist library.
Damn it! I shouldn't have gone to the racist
library. I'm here for school, I swear.
It's research. I swear to God, it's research.
So yeah, we learn a little bit about these other people, and then Feyre gets a lot of training.
Please make the title of the episode Mel Gibson's Racist Library.
Don't do that.
I don't want Mel Gibson's racist lawyers to come after us. All right. What was I gonna say? Right. Okay. So they actually do. I think there's a few weeks here, basically, of a training montage, essentially, like, where every day she meets up with Cassian to do learn about swords and weaponry, and then she meets up with Reese to learn about harnessing her powers, and he teaches her about those courts in order for her to understand better where her power is sourcing from and what it's doing. And so that continues, and there's a few days where Reese has to go a place be out of town or whatever, and she's like, I hate that I miss him. And then
which it does make sense because he's still like, well, it's wrong for me to have just had this very serious relationship and almost have gotten married and then very quickly be
that part's
feeling
fair.
This way.
Yeah. Definitely is something I can understand feeling guilty about, even if it's not warranted. I understand that.
Yeah.
And then they keep texting each other. And
I love the text. It's so fucking.
They are texting each other.
Texting system.
I don't know. So they talk about the painting, and she kind of reminisces about there was a time where all I wanted to do was get enough food to feed my family so that I could paint, and they thought that was the greatest soul fulfillment and satisfaction I would ever have in this life, which is interesting. And I think we had talked about this actually while we went through the first book of how limited her world was and her upbringing, that that was the greatest future she could dream of, was just being fed and painting.
Yep.
And it's kind of it's obviously kind of sad, and obviously you can see she's in a very different place now.
It's also interesting. She's also mentioned that, I don't know if it was here or later, she's mentioned it a couple times, and how just in general she's had no drive to paint. She's had no, because painting and creating art comes from a place of joy inside you, right? And she's felt so empty and soulless lately. She's had no motivation to paint, and the first time she's felt she's wanted to paint, and for the first time in months since any of this happened, was actually seeing Reese on the bed kneeling. That vision in her head of Reese on the bed kneeling in that posture, totally nude, wings splayed across the bed, is the first time she's wanted to paint in a while, because that just that whole scene made her feel things, either because he was naked or because of the raw emotion or just whatever it was, that made her want to paint. And in general, these memories, being with Reese has slowly started kind of bring back that part of her.
I think that's something that she'll have to get to do a little bit later, because obviously
because her paints are still at Tamlin's house.
Oh, that's why, of course. I just meant
But
like
he's not
I
coming
think-
back. Per Patrick,
Yeah,
he's not
that's
going to
true.
come back to this during this book.
Oh look,
Third book. Conflicts in the third book.
I just got a notification that we just hit 2,500 listens. Look, just sent it to me. It's pretty nice. Thanks everybody.
Huge.
Huge.
Thank you, people. Thank you for supporting my hot takes. I know you all support each and every one of them, and that I'm
Yeah?
right.
Each-
I don't
each
need
and
your
every one.
validation. I know I'm right.
We're
but thank you
losing.
for that anyway.
We're losing all of our listeners in the first 5 minutes of the episode. We talk about nothing but fucking seagulls and transformers for 15 minutes.
Seals.
straight.
You said seagulls. We can't.
I said seals.
I
I
heard
thought you
seagulls.
said seagulls.
Hey, you know what? If we want to talk about seagulls and transformers, we can. Okay, so what if they transform into seagulls instead?
Look, we give the people what they want. All right.
Okay, let's see.
My
here.
favorite murder. They don't talk about murder ever. They just fucking talk to each other.
This is the
We-
third
we
time
do
you've
this-
complained about that podcast on this podcast.
I want a beef.
At least,
I'm trying
if
to
not
generate
more. I think
traffic.
All right.
Why do you want beef?
Because I want traffic. I want to generate, hits, clicks, sells.
Okay. Yeah, hits and clicks. Hey, actually, let me interrupt that nonsense shit to say this for real, which is that if you like the show, you should give us a review on Spotify or iTunes. That actually helps a lot and shows the podcast in way more places. Like it exponentially helps a lot. So please do that. All
And
right.
in your review, please mention what your favorite Joe hot take is, or
that's a
least
good one.
favorite.
Or least favorite,
Yes.
yeah. Like this guy said the most outrageous thing on earth. Listen to this episode to find out what it is.
You can't
Okay.
find one. I'm infallible. I'm like the Pope.
What?
Mm,
The next group we're going after is Catholics.
Call me the Jope, because I'm infallible.
Nice. I assume that's some
Thanks
sort of Bible
for letting
joke.
that dog shit joke hang there, Patrick.
Is that some sort of Bible joke? I don't know.
Joe, I'll always let your dog shit jokes hang. I got you. Don't worry.
Great. Okay, so they get a letter back. They talk a little bit more about Reese, and I thought this was interesting because Feyre's like, hey, did you always want to be like the High Lord? Because obviously his dad was, so it was kind of known that he would be doing that someday. But he was like, yeah, I actually did always want to be High Lord because my dad was such a shit ass fucking High Lord that I always thought wow, I could do things a lot better than him and make things a lot better for my people from the start. And then she kind of reflects on how Tamlin was the opposite of that, which I thought was interesting because he never wanted to be the High Lord, and then when he finally got placed in that position of power, he basically just resorted back to doing exactly what his shitty abusive dad had been doing the whole time. Which
is funny because that's
hated.
the opposite. That's the opposite of the classic trope
Yes.
you hear. The best
100%.
leaders are the ones who don't want to be leaders.
Power, right? Yeah, I thought that was what really, really interested me because I feel like we hear that in fucking every story where it's the bad the best leaders are people who don't seek power. They have it thrust upon them and they rise to the occasion. But it's kind of the opposite here, I noted, which is interesting. And I was trying to think about well, what is it like in real life? And then I was all of them are bad. And then I got sad.
So you're saying that Feyre is going to be the best leader because she's going to have power thrust upon her? Ayo.
I'm gonna let that hang for a second.
That's disgusting.
What?
Disgusting. Who would never make such a joke like that? It's grotesque.
You would, Joe.
We would not do it
No,
here,
it's
certainly.
grotesque. No.
All right. But
to your point, it is he fully went into this knowing the weight of and importance of power, and feels it every moment of being the High Lord.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference. It's just another thing to draw a comparison to because both of them had pretty awful I think outright abusive fathers, both Tamlin and Rhysand, and both of them kind of had to find their own way, and I think Tamlin basically just never figured out what he wanted, and so his entire life is just well, I mean, I got to do it the way my dad did it, I guess, because I don't know any other way to do it.
Yeah, and speaking
It's
of
just because he
Tamlin
lacks any
and
ambition.
Rhys-
He lacks any ambition, any thoughts, anything original at
no,
all
no
in
thoughts,
his
head
mind.
empty.
Yep. So he just doesn't know. Whereas Reese is obviously a very ambitious
You're right, because
person.
I feel like I'm actually giving him too much credit that he's thought about that. I think it's just what he's just doing shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, what were you saying, Joe?
Oh, this is an unrelated thought, but just speaking of the two of them, did Reese kill Tamlin's dad and family, or am I remembering that correctly? Because I know they have a history. And I'm just wondering now back to the.
Reeson killed somebody who was close to Tamlin, but I don't remember if it was his father.
I think he killed his family.
We'll have to check in with our research assistant on that one.
And also this is a dig at Rachel. I'm like, hey, can you send me a spoiler free hey, can you do some research for me that's spoiler free? And she just sends back a spoiler filled result. And I'm like, hey, luckily this is covered in these chapters, but like, hide this.
And also, I hadn't read the book yet. So you were like, luckily I didn't see it, but you're like, you might want to I don't know if Nirav and Patrick have read that yet. So then you're asking you spoil that, and she's like, I'm gonna just delete it because I don't know how to do spoiler tags.
So Rachel, in the words of Captain America, do better.
Yeah. All right, so we find out that the Mortal Queens are going to finally meet with them, and we find out that Reeson's basically just been spamming their inboxes to like get them to agree to meet. And he's kind of
we never even find out what like the last message, because he sends a final letter to them which triggers them to actually come.
Yeah,
and we don't actually find out what the contents of that letter were.
That's true.
He even says to Farah, he's like, you never even ask what I've been sending them. He's like, you just. It's kind of a nod that like none of you like. Look, we've covered a lot of shit. Like you're not gonna know. Like, hey, you just.
I'm so curious.
Yeah, so
I imagine it's like dirty, sexy stuff. Just you up.
You up.
Hey.
That's the last letter. Reeson sent just you up, and they said, "Fine, we'll go there. We'll show up."
He sent them an eggplant emoji, and they just showed up.
Eggplant, water drop. Water
drop. All right, so 5 of the Mortal Queens have come here out of 6
and they
total,
winnow
right?
in.
They winnow in, but there's one who doesn't show up, correct? There's 6 of them total.
Yes.
And so, yeah, they winnow
the 6th
in.
one is having health issues or something like that.
Yeah, 5 out of 6 ain't
Allegedly.
bad, though. That's like the same amount of dentists that recommend
She's not.
Colgate or whatever. So
This queen, I was like, she's not sick. This is some bullshit.
Oh, yeah, there's some shit going on there. She's absolutely not sick. But I think 5 out of 6 is a pretty good hit rate. So, she says they're like a mixture of like age, coloring, height, and temperament. Basically, just meaning like there's people of all like races here and ages and everything. So,
but the main queen
But
is
she
like
says,
the most beautiful woman ever.
yeah,
Like
yeah, she says 4 out of 5 of these queens are uggos, and then one of them
I don't
is
know
actually
why she
like
was so
super
mean about it too.
Yeah. Yeah, short, fat, deformed. Like, whoa, but here's 3 pages about how you're the sexiest woman alive.
So anyway, they meet the Golden Queen. I think is that the one who's the really sexy one.
Yeah, she's the youngest too, so so this also feels a little ageist.
She's like 30
but
or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's actually not much older than Farah, so she's like 30 or something like that. And the main 2 queens talking are her, the Golden Queen, and then the eldest of
queen.
the other, the Ancient Queen, which also feels ageist to call her just the Ancient Queen, because she's a human, so she's got to be like no more than like 70 or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The Ancient Queen.
Although, like, I don't know, if you saw Joe Biden and called him the Ancient King, that would be pretty cool.
That'd be kind of funny, I guess.
Don't
It's
ever
also
call
like
Joe
the
Biden
term,
king.
like the title, the
That's
title Ancient in a room of people who are like 10 times
that
their
age is very funny. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so we meet these queens, and they're pretty standoffish and like really
the
unwilling
worst.
to even fucking listen. Like it's obvious they kind of just showed up so that they could say that they showed up. You know, they don't really have much intent of like listening to them, but they give them the whole spiel. You know, Farah's supposed to be like the ambassador, right? So she's like supposed to be like the link between these 2 worlds, between humans and fairies.
Yeah, she is the link between worlds.
Yeah, she's the Legend of Farah, a link between worlds, and she meets up with I was gonna say Nesta and Elaine are also here. They're kind of like off to the side watching this happen.
Which is kind of their whole presence. We're also here. They're just there in the background.
Well, Nesta
the
starts
entire
yelling
time.
later. Don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
Nesta does get a little.
like, blows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes off the rails.
Although, frankly, I don't think that she has made the situation worse. I think it was already as bad as it was going to be. But anyway, they kind of have a back and forth about this, and the queens are like, oh, that sounds like the Fae are going to have a hard time defending the human lands. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm going to see what you guys do over there. Have fun. Good luck. And she's like, they're just like, we're not going to help you at all. Like, it is your responsibility to guard the human lands, I guess.
Well, specifically the human lands on this side of the wall. Like, just these human
Just
lands.
Town, basically.
Yeah, because the Pharaoh, it's like, hey, like, you guys say you've been prepping for this war, but everyone in this town is not, they don't know anything about it at all. And the queens are like, they're fine.
Yeah,
they're so close to the wall.
One of them is like, a necessary loss,
Yep. Because I guess they're so close to the wall, it's not worth trying to defend these clowns. And then Nesta and Elaine, who live in this territory, are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, hey, did you know people live here? There are, like, children here and such? And they're like, yeah, really, it's a tactical loss, if you think about it.
But there are children everywhere.
Yeah. What have children ever done for me?
Or like, what did that Republican lady say? Like, everyone dies at some point.
Yeah.
God. Fucking hell. So anyway, Feyre basically is like, oh my god, I'm failing as an ambassador. And then she like she kind of like, really shot in the dark, is like begging them for help. And she's like, please, like, I want you to understand the importance of this. And the ancient queen is like, you're young. I think I'll excuse you for being so rude to me. And Rhysand's like, don't you fucking talk down to her. I'll fucking kill you. And then and then like, I think, yeah, more jumps in and she's like, no, you know who I am,
Yeah, they had established like.
Oh yeah, they also recognize more when they
Yes,
they don't recognize her visually, but they say her name. She says her name, and they're like, oh, we know like legend of you or whatever.
Yeah, they
so
call
then
her
she
the
uses that to her
Morrigan.
advantage and tries to talk more about it. Oh, more the what?
They call her like the Morrigan, like they know who she is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so she fought side by side with Miriam, while Jurian's ambition drove him mad and drove them apart. And so she actually was there with Miriam when they like marched into the Blacklands and they like freed the slaves and all that, like all those years ago. And she marched with Miriam and Prince Draken's legion, and she knew the queen's ancestors personally. And she tells the queens like, your ancestors would be fucking ashamed of you because you're cowards.
Yeah, she's like, I fought directly beside
yeah.
the queens. They would have done this. This is what they fought for. Go fuck yourselves. You're petty fucks.
And Moore starts to like slightly spill the beans on some apparently some like super huge secret about like the fact that their ancestor, the Miriam, who's been referred to before as like the other like partial human who is granted immortality.
Yes, she's still human, but she has fairy immortality, basically.
Well, we find out later she's half human, actually.
No, Miriam is not actually. She was never human.
She's half human, half
Oh,
fae.
is she?
But yes, she was never granted immortality. She's just half human, half fae.
Oh, wait. I thought it was the opposite.
She was given some extra immortality or something like that. Because like
she's been alive for 500 years. I mean,
that can't be the only instance of a fae and a human having a kid.
Oh no, she was just half. Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm mixing it up.
her mom was a human and her dad was a fairy.
I think she has fairy immortality, but it's just a result of her being half fae. Like
she's
But the implication of that, the way they referred to Miriam previously is that like Feyre is the only other person to have been granted immortality since Miriam. And
no.
If Miriam,
that was a different person.
No. She vaguely says, "Do you think it's a coincidence that another has been killed and remade at the same time that our old enemy resurfaces?" It wasn't clear. I didn't take that as her referring to Miriam necessarily. But also, it hasn't been revealed yet. It's unclear. It could.
They
be,
talked
but,
about
it
somebody.
hasn't been-
I think they
they talked about someone in the past.
Yeah, it was
several chapters ago.
It was an inconsequential person. They were just saying like that has been done before, like the immortality transfer.
I don't think it's
but
Miriam though.
The way that Feyre has become a fairy has never been done. Miriam is just the result of like being a child between a fairy and a human is all. So,
but she's like, Miriam and Draken still live with their children on like basically the island of Krakoa where there's peace. And like she's like, oh, they've lived there for 500 years, and they and their children and everyone from fae to human and everything in between live there in peace. It's like the ideal existence of human rights and equality.
Yeah, sure.
It's like it's the dream, which we find out what is like. That is what the Court of Dreams have like modeled their dream for society based on. It's like,
Sure, yeah.
hey,
yeah.
this has happened. This can happen. This island exists. Like, what if this was just everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the queens are like, well, we've heard a lot of stuff about you, Rhysand, which is that, like, you walk around, like, nonchalantly, like, breaking people's minds and, like, destroying kingdoms and lives. So, we don't trust anything you're saying. Like, why don't you prove to us that you're like, trustworthy? And he's like, fuck, dude. Okay. And so, of course,
And then
Feyre
Feyre
has
at
the
this
thought,
point
like,
correctly clocks in her head.
Yeah.
Oh, you're about to say that. Sorry.
Yeah,
like
no,
in her
yeah,
head,
yeah.
she thinks like Valaris is the only way that's going to happen. But like that's such a huge sacrifice for him to have to make. And then when they go back to the house and start talking about it, he basically confirms that that's what he's going to have to do is basically show them the existence of Valaris. And at first, they're like, you're not going to bring them here, right? And he was like, no, fuck no. But he can show them there's like a magic ball, like the truth magic ball, which apparently is like, it's such a well-known legend as being an artifact that Mor's family has that even the humans know of this truth ball. It's called the truth ball, right? It's probably just called truth. That's right.
Yeah, are you talking
The
about a
truth
magic
ball.
8-ball?
Yeah, it's a magic 8-ball.
Yeah, it was a artifact of Mor's family that was used during the war. Basically, like it just radiates magical absolute truth.
Magical 8-ball truth.
Just like cocaine.
Is the King of Hybern going to invade? Ask again later.
And yeah, they're like, yeah, the only way to do, like, we won't show them Valaris. We can't bring them here. They'll like get them, like they'll just end in bloodshed.
Yeah.
But we can show them like I can
Proof.
You know,
We can prove to them Valaris exists, which I don't know how he's going to do, frankly, still, but we'll see.
well,
The magic 8-ball.
He's gonna like probably do Daemati stuff, but like because it's in the presence of the 8-ball, it will like they know it to be they know.
No,
the
I think
legends
it's,
of the
I think it's
8-ball.
just like it's the fucking mirror from Beauty and the Beast. Show me my. It's like they're gonna. It's basically just like it shows like the looking glass to show
maybe.
visions.
Oh, okay.
Or it's the magic. It's the fucking magic ball that,
like
that
a-
Pippin steals on Lord of the Rings.
Like a scrying thing.
Oh, like the
kind of.
Palantir.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
the Palantir. I was trying to remember what that was called, but yeah, it's like it's literally just that. It is a thing that grants visions, and because of the legend of it, it is so well known even amongst the mortals. Like Rhys is like, if we get this from Mor's family, like this thing is so well known, they will know that it's showing the truthful thing only. So
Yeah.
basically, they're gonna use this magic 8-ball to
I-
give the humans a vision of Valaris. And that will be truth enough, I guess.
I was still, like, not sold on that, frankly, as all I'll say. Like, I don't think the queens are going to be like, okay, well, that's good enough for me, let's do it. But we'll see.
I think this is gonna be one of those moments of like narrative convenience where this exists to solve, which does happen a few times in this book. But I think this is going to exist to solve the problem. We can just move past it because any more back and forth will not.
Is
be
this
going to
be like the shit in Game of Thrones where they have to go get a White Walker to show Cersei? This is basically what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh my god, you're right.
I guess it's literally that.
But it's not. But it's at least like rooted in more logic because
That's fair enough. Like
horseshit and insane.
Yeah, and then they just kind of walked up there in a day, which was interesting because it took 45 days earlier. Oh well, whatever. Let's not talk about it.
Like Game of Thrones.
But also, as they were doing this, and like they're like, look, we can't do this. We can't just like go find Miriam and Draken because like.
Oh, that was
Feyre's
Feyre's idea for like, can we just show
Yeah.
them that? Yeah.
Like, look, and yeah, Reese is like, their problems with me because they think I'm a piece of shit. We gotta fucking show them this. But then they get into the whole backstory of Miriam and Draken. I'm just like, dude, honestly, like, we have just so much lore is in these chapters. So much
Pretty heavy
lore.
chapters.
But yeah, basically Miriam and Draken.
and then we get-
yeah.
And then we get our second heist of this chunk.
Yeah, 2 heists, huh?
A much more successful
Are we
heist.
gonna just gloss over the Miriam backstory?
Oh,
We talked about that.
No,
No,
I
we
mean, like,
didn't.
well, we learned a little bit more, which is that, like, that we learned about, like, the Fey Kingdom down in the south part of the continent, like, down below the Mortal Lands, where that was what they were calling the Black Lands earlier, and it was, like, this really horrible place where humans were born into slavery, and they were, like, they were oppressed as much. Frankly, it sounds like humans there were treated the way that, like, the humans think that they were treated by the fairies. Like, that's what they're remembering about the fairies is
Yeah.
like the Blacklands. And the humans were born into and died in slavery, and they had to build all these like monuments and like palaces and temples and all that shit for the High Fae. And the Queen of the Blacklands was like basically like it's like Amarantha on easy mode, dude. Or Amarantha was like her on easy mode. You don't understand. Like it makes Amarantha seem sweet. The Queen of the Blacklands.
And then this is where Miriam was born to a human mother, a Fae father, and I guess the notes here was that she's a child of SA. I don't remember. I maybe glossed over that when I was listening.
I might have missed that too, but yeah, like
I might have missed that.
Regardless, like she was, half and half.
Yeah.
Which they decided she was human, which is exactly how those things go in real life.
That tracks. Yep.
And denied her any right to her Fae heritage, and so of course she grew up that way and was given away as a wedding gift by the queen to her betrothed, who was this Prince Draken. And Prince Draken was like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Are you giving me a human woman?" And he's like,
"No, whoa, that's Draken slander. I'm not going to take that." He was horrified by like the act of an arranged marriage.
Yeah. No, sorry. No, that's not what I meant.
Oh,
I meant,
I thought you were...
Are you giving... He's like, are you giving me a person as a gift? Like, that's what I meant. Like, yeah, that's why he was, like, horrified by it. And, like, of course, like, he, maybe was... I was actually a little bit confused about this. Like, did he not know about, like, the human slavery thing going on there or something?
Is this one of those things where, like, rich people don't know what's happening?
That's probably exactly what it is. Yeah.
And then also, so the other confusing thing is Miriam, before this, was the lover of what's his name?
No, so this is after this. Like, she flees across the sea and is found by Jurian, because at this point Jurian is marching against Amarantha. He is he is already engaged in a war against Amarantha, and she becomes a healer in his army. They slowly kind of like become lovers. At one point, she attends to his allies, which at that point Draken had joined the battle against Amarantha. And
it's because of her, like Draken learns about the treatment of humans because of her. So then when she goes across to help in the war, he ends up joining the war as well, just like in parallel.
Yeah, and like they explained too that he had left to go look for Miriam specifically, and and then they provide more explains like she was there, and they even all describe them, all of them, like in our Court of Dreams crew, as their friends. Like they all knew them personally and still would know them personally on their island, and like are keeping it a secret. But Miriam ended things with Jurian before going with Draken. It was not like they cheated secretly and then she ended things with Jurian. More was like firmly has confirmed she ended things with Jurian first, because Jurian was obsessed with his war against Amarantha.
But he also still, like in Jurian's mind, like classic Tamlin situation, like in his mind, that Miriam was stolen from him by Draken. So that's why he like resents Draken. It's because in Jurian's mind, Miriam is still his.
Yeah, and then when Amarantha kills him and like puts his eye in the necklace, and all that kind of stuff, or is it a finger? I think it was the eye. Tells him that she betrayed him for a Fae, and kind of just has corrupted his image of Miriam and all of that. And that in general, everyone believes Miriam and Draken have died, freeing her people from the Black Land at the end of the war, but they actually escaped with their people and have established this true island of dreams where everything is, there's true equality finally, and it's, the perfect place to exist.
Yeah. So like we get a lot of
lore, but I feel like
a lot of lore, yeah.
There are actually people that are listening along that are not reading the books, and I feel like that was important to mention.
That's good to know.
Is it more than just Kyle now?
I don't know
more than just Kyle.
Oh wow, really? Okay, good.
You said that so confidently. Do you know specifically someone?
Yeah, I know IRL people that like listen to this that have listened to our podcast and have not read the books.
Okay, hold on. This is important actually. Can you ask them to write a short little summary about based solely on the podcast, the events, like key events from this book that we can then like read some like fun little blurbs from people's summaries in the final episode.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not too long.
That would
That could
be
be
pretty
fun.
good.
I'm just
Yeah,
thinking back
I
on how
like that.
Kyle's summary was the best. Reading that summary was the best thing ever.
That was pretty good. Okay, so I think that we basically get out of this. We learn about all this stuff about Jurian and Miriam and everything, and we kind of get some new context on the situation, which was definitely described differently before. But yeah, essentially we learn about the end of the Blacklands, and then Miriam and Draken died. Sorry. Everyone believes that Miriam and Draken died.
Their death was fake.
They faked their death,
basically,
yes.
so they could escape.
It's really I don't know, because like I think that what I remember was that what I remembered though was that like Jurian was it, sorry, I'm trying to figure out my words, was it last book when we learned about this stuff in the first place, were we led to believe that Miriam was like a cohort of Jurian like until the end, or what was it that we were thinking?
I'm confused because wasn't there another thing, like wasn't like didn't what's her name? Why am I blanking on the bad lady's name? What's the
Amarantha?
The bad lady?
Amarantha?
Okay.
Amarantha, bad lady.
Yeah.
Lady.
Didn't she have a sister who loved
yes.
Jurian?
Yeah, Jurian, but like flirted with the sister, and that's why.
Yeah, he like
Amarantha-
led her on
yeah.
and a bunch of shit. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Jurian's like in his mind, Jurian's real love was Miriam. Jurian and Miriam, that's confusing and difficult. And then
they should change their names.
Amarantha's sister loved Jurian, and Jurian would lead her on. And in the side, Miriam was actually off with Draken.
Oh no, I remember. No, it was like Jurian pretended to love Amarantha's sister for information, and then he left her for Miriam. So that's why Amarantha was all butthurt about love and love for humans specifically, is because Jurian left a fae for a human in her mind. So that's why she did the Tamlin curse of you must find a human with hate in their heart. I think maybe Jurian also killed her sister, but either way, like he killed her, maybe killed her sister, but left the sister or killed her because he was going back to Miriam. So that was the whole point of it.
Yeah, maybe.
Was humans suck.
Right. Okay. That was definitely the crux of it, though. Was like, oh,
Yeah.
I hate all humans now. Like, anyway, let's.
We'll ask unreliable research assistant Rachel to do spoiler-filled research again.
Yeah, please.
You're really dragging Rachel a lot in this episode.
I'm coming in
Rachel's
hot.
doing this for us. Rachel's doing all this
we're
help
not
for us
paying
pro
her, like,
bono,
speed,
and Joe's coming in here fucking attacking one of the most valuable helpers.
The group of people that Joe's attacking this week is Rachel.
Rachel is the. Joe's gonna alienate the most important person in this podcast.
Jesus Christ!
I'll
dude.
tell her to her face tomorrow. I'm seeing her in person.
Great, do it. I'll be there to watch. Hopefully. Okay, Reese.
Well, no, don't tell her. Let her be surprised. Let her listen to this episode and be
that's
fucking
true.
blindsided by it.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we learn about this all this shit, and Reese basically comes in and says like, okay, you know, we talked about all this. Like, I am going to show them Valaris in like an indirect way. Blah blah blah. We talked about this already. So, Reese and Moore and Cassian and Farah go to the Court of Nightmares, or they plan to rather. They're going to go there to create a distraction for everybody there. While Asriel goes to steal the Truth Orb from the Magic 8 Ball from Moore's father, who is like the ruler. What is his title? He's like the ruler under the mountain or something, or whatever.
No, he's the he's the
like a governor.
steward.
Yeah,
The
steward
steward?
maybe. Yeah, he's basically a governor of like.
No,
that part
there's a
of the
different
kingdom.
He's
character that is the
Wormtongue.
steward later.
He's Wormtongue basically.
He might be.
Isn't Wormtongue's the name of the guy? The guy
from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, the steward
from Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
what
they're
a
gonna go down
satisfying
to the
death.
Court of Nightmares, and that Reese is like, "Hey, I don't want you to come. Not because like I think you can't handle it, but like you're gonna see me be the absolute worst version and like the Reese of Legends, like the stuff that everybody knows me as. That's what I am here. you've just started to like me. I don't want to fuck this up by like being the absolute worst person that's ever existed. She's like,
Yeah, so
no,
he's
I
like,
can handle it.
this is I'm gonna have to put on the persona of the king of the Court of Nightmares, basically. Like, so you're not gonna like what you see here, and so, but she does insist, of course. No, I want to do that. I don't care, and I will. I know that you're putting on an act and whatever, and so like he kind of reluctantly is like, all right, it is what it is. So
And then, dude, we
And
get
then
into,
they
like,
decide to
fucked
fly
shit.
there for.
sorry.
What was that?
Well, then we get into some fucked shit of like they were asked about Moore's family, and
Yeah, we learned about the
explains
fucking that part I didn't.
yeah,
like.
her dad was because like as she previously explained, when everyone knew she was super powerful, she thought that like that would protect her, but in fact it just made her the most valuable property for her family to sell off as soon as she was able to give birth. So her father eventually announced she was being sold in marriage to Eris, the eldest son of the High Lord in the Autumn Court, who was
Lucian's brother.
Who in Eris particularly had a reputation for cruelty, so Moore begged her family not to do it, but eventually, so what she did to get out of it was, Rhys took her to kind of just help her escape to an Illyrian camp. So what she did was she slept with Cassian, thinking that, that would ruin my value, that, if I'm like sullied, quote unquote, then, they're not going to want to do it.
Well, she correctly blocked that.
She was right.
She was right.
Yeah.
And Eris refused to marry her, saying she had been, quote unquote, sullied. So her dad and family punished her. They don't say what they did, but they say that when they were done with her, they dumped her on the Autumn Court border with a note nailed to her body saying that she was Eris's problem.
So fucked up.
That's like maybe one of the worst things that we've seen so far. And yeah, I this part actually was like, oh my god. They basically left her for dead there in like maybe the worst way, but Azrael did find her like a few days later and save her. Which was like, yeah, anyway. Just this part was really, really fucking, I don't know, it got to me in a way I think some of the other parts haven't. So I was like, yeah. Anyway,
I mean, it accurately paints the picture that right before the strike, like they've alluded to how bad the Court of Nightmares is, and it's pretty accurately paints the picture of how fucked up that court is and how horrible her whole family is.
Yeah.
And how horrible Lucian's family is.
Yeah. Well, we already knew they were pretty bad, but now we know how bad. So Feyre is actually, I'll save that for the end here. Okay, so Feyre ends up knowing that she's going to need to play like a role down in the Court of Nightmares for everybody. Like, of course, like there's going to be a lot of people watching. So we learn a little bit about wings and the size of the fairy dicks in relation to those wings. Which I know they're making a joke about the whole like, foot size, shoe size thing or whatever. But like, it is pretty funny because it does get to a point where like, well, Azrael's wings are the biggest. What do you think? Is that true?
And then Rhys is like, well, maybe when we get back, we should take out a measuring stick.
Yeah.
I was
and so he tells her that the wings are very sensitive and that the fairies can they can climax just by having their wings touch the right way.
Well, he says that like out of general day-to-day setting, if you touch a Illyrian's wings, they will fucking kill you on sight.
Oh, right. That's
like,
also important.
But if you are having sex with them, they will fucking come buckets if you touch their wings.
Yeah, he says it like that, I think.
Yeah. But
he
has
does
never,
say cum buckets.
But he has never let anybody touch his wings because he thinks that he's like that is
least
like a
favorite
level
restaurant in Bikini Bottom, the cum bucket.
The rusty cum bucket.
God.
Oh God, that's worse somehow.
That's worse. Man. We're right back to SpongeBob.
Yes, but because he has never. We know that Rhys has not cum buckets because he admits that he has never let anybody touch his wings during sex, because it's just a very intimate act that he has never felt comfortable doing with anybody.
Yeah, fair.
That's like major foreshadowing for sure.
400% they're gonna do that. He's like, I trust you with my wings or whatever. Fuck. Yeah. So anyway, they try to.
It's so wild they decide to fly there. By the way, instead of just winnowing in. I don't understand like why This
'Cause they
feels like
had to
another
have
like
the
No, I mean to give
conversation
them
about
a
wings.
conversation of it. Yeah, 100%.
I know this feels like another plot convenience thing where they had to fly there, one, and two, they had to present an
Two,
opportunity
for them
to
to
show
get
they're being
attacked.
attacked by
Yeah.
someone.
So a bunch
How
of
el-
ash arrows fly up into
why
the
are
sky.
you complaining about this? Like, is this how we figured out that you can come from touching an Illyrian's wings?
I'm just saying, I'm like, why didn't they teleport? Like, I don't, whatever. It doesn't matter.
'Cause they
Yeah,
would be
why
weird.
didn't
They
they?
tell-
Why didn't they just fly the eagles to Mordor, Patrick? Why didn't they just do that?
Yeah.
Stop.
Plot
That's not the same, and you
convenience.
know it.
It's the same. It's the same. The ash arrows.
It's
come
not the
flying
same because
into
you
the
know when
sky.
they fucking winnow everywhere. They winnow everywhere. Reese even winnows into the spring court.
He winnows
Yeah,
into
if
the
Reese,
shower.
if
okay,
Reese
but
can
picture
winnow into the
this.
spring court, why can't he winnow into his own court that he rules?
Because if he just winnowed in and then said, "Yeah, by the way, if you touch my wings, I come," that would be weird. That's weird.
That definitely should have been how it went down. Okay.
I also, you know what's also crazy is how big their fucking wings are. Like Cassian and Azrael's wings are always so huge. They're always like hanging off the chairs. They're always like around when they're walking around.
That's right.
How has no one? That's not what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is how has no one just accidentally touched their wings before? Like, what if they were like in the human realm? They're like
It's
at
a very,
they're having this
like
big.
jizz in my pants situation. I think.
Yeah, but they're having
just
this whole,
say,
they're
yeah.
having this. They're having this whole dinner together with Nesta and Elaine for the first time, and Elaine like grabs Azrael's wing, like, "Do you need anything?" And Azrael is just like, "Oh God, no, not like this."
Aw. Okay,
Yeah,
we gotta
Andy
keep
Samberg
moving,
just-
dude. This is already our longest episode ever. All right.
It's so fucking long.
Okay.
Anyways, they get
Just
attacked by
their
ash
wings
arrows.
and their penises.
Yeah.
They
All
get
right.
attacked by like ashwood arrows while they're flying.
Yes.
And then they quickly land and they're like, all right, we need to figure this shit out. Well, first, like, Reese wants to send Pharaoh home. Pharaoh's like, nope, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm good at tracking. I have experience with with these arrows. I can probably tell you where they're from. But the assailants
Yeah, no such
like
luck.
somehow picked up all their arrows in that amount of time, which is very impressive.
They're keeping
and then,
ammo counts. Yeah.
and they managed to like hide
They have a
fast enough
shitty
before
DM,
like
so they had to go collect all their arrows after combat.
I had a DM like that early on. Oh my god.
Piece of
I
shit.
hated
Did you
that
also
shit.
have to like have all the ingredients for certain summoning
Oh yeah.
spells?
Don't you worry. I did.
That fucking sucks.
Fucking
Fuck
asshole.
So yeah, they quickly decided like Cassian's doing like loops on trying to like Cassian and Reese are in the sky looking, whereas Azrael and Farah are on the ground hunting and they don't find anything at all. But Farah knows this is now the second time that their attackers have known where Reese and Farah were going to be, and somehow someone is tracking their movements and knows their plans, which does imply, again, we talked about a couple episodes before, of like the implication that there's a mole on their inner circle or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're supposed to think there's a mole in the inner circle and there's some other way they've been being spied on to create some sort of like conflict, like a bug. Someone's bugged. Does that exist?
Yeah, like a real physical insect that's just like collecting information and translating it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, so
But yeah, so they come up, empty-handed, and then Reese also says like we need to hide this attack from our allies because otherwise it shows weakness. But they want Cassian to he instructs Cassian to like reinforce that border, and reinforce patrols or whatever. And then they get to the night court.
yeah, so at the nightmare court, I guess rather. But yeah.
Yep.
They get there and Farah's put on a fun dress, which is similar to the ones that she wore at the parties to the under the mountain like before, which was, I think, extremely skimpy from what I've heard. And
From what you've heard, word on the street.
word on the street, yeah, is that pretty skimpy. So Cassian and Azrael are like all dressed in this like black battle armor, and Reese takes off his fucking Rock Lee ankle weights that were like holding him back.
For real.
Yeah, like his like mental or like some sort of magical ankle weight, because Farah notes that he walks in with like this power radiating off of him like she's never seen before.
I was trying to tell Lindsay about this. I don't know when it came up, like Naruto came up, and I was like, no, the moment when Rock Lee took off his ankle weights and fought Gaara, that was when the boys became men. You don't understand. Okay, so anyway, they go into the court, and there's Farah's basically supposed to be there as a distraction, and everyone's gonna, just be like talking, like, gossiping, like, oh, who's that on his lap? Who's that? Right? To keep everyone like focused on Reese and everything. So Reese walks in like a big shot, right? And he's like, my subjects are before me. I see that you're not late, idiots. And he's like, he's definitely putting on like a very different personality for these people. But he comes in. I'm waving to Alexa. I don't think she saw us. No.
I have a mic muted right now. There's some toddler chaos happening just to my left.
Yeah. Tamlin comes in. Fuck me. I'm gonna.
Tamlin comes.
Oh my god, dude! What is happening? Dude.
It started off as a joke, but it is actually pretty funny
it's
how
a
much
little bit,
Joe
like,
is
worrying
fucking
at
obsessed
how-
with
I'm not doing
Tamlin
a
on this
bit.
whole episode.
I'm not doing a bit.
Look.
I need help.
Look, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, Reese comes in and he definitely puts on like a new air of like a character he's playing essentially. And so Reese sits down on his throne and he summons Moore's father, whose name I forgot.
I don't think
Kier
they mentioned
Egan.
it.
Kier Egan,
Kier's a different
right.
person.
No, it's just a severance.
No,
joke.
Kier is her dad.
No.
Yeah, Alexa, Kier is Moore's dad, right? Yeah, Kier is Moore's dad.
okay.
He's the steward.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Kier Egan from
Kier
Severance,
Egan from
the leader.
Severance,
The
right.
leader.
Yeah, the leader of the
See,
cult.
I told you that Severance was going to come up in this episode.
You're right. He didn't believe all these rumors, but of course now we know that Tamlin's pet has a new master. Whoa. So basically,
That's what Kier says.
Yeah.
And then like
Then
you kind
we
of think
get,
that's going to
like-
be like, whoa, he referred to her as a pet, but Reese and Feyre are fully leaning into it.
Oh,
Yes.
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It
They're
gets
putting on a
getting
show.
very-
They're getting
Dude,
very
this
into
gets
it.
genuinely good.
The funny thing is they're getting really into it, and Feyre, I think because they established in advance that this was all like
It's all make-believe, pretend, yeah.
It's all make believe pretend, and they also have their mental shields down just enough so they can talk to each other through their shields, and this becomes almost like role play.
Yeah,
like it feels
100%.
like they're like putting on this power show, and this becomes this weird like kinky role play
it's interesting
situation.
because of their mental ability, they can like consent to things while not consenting to them in role play it like that, which is
Yeah, 'cause,
very,
like, the entire time.
They can consent
Reese-
without breaking character.
yes.
Yeah, Reese is like just entirely rubbing all over her, slowly getting closer and closer to her breasts, and then eventually between her legs, and eventually, like as you sit on his lap, they get to a point where Reese is just rock hard, sticking it in
He's
her back.
fully hard, and
Yeah.
she's like rubbing against him, and she feels him on her butt.
Yeah, and then like eventually he is kind of like, she describes it as he can feel her what was it like? Did she just say the word wetness? I can't remember what the word was.
She says wet, like
it's gotta be something biblically.
His hand
identical to
gets
that.
high enough where he can feel how wet she is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she gets kind of like embarrassed about it, but Reese is like kind
Into
of
it.
back
He's
in
like,
her mental.
Yeah, he's like,
Well, no, in her mental shields, he's kind of like reassuring her,
Oh,
like,
right,
hey,
right, okay.
it's fine, like
Yeah.
like it's just a natural body reaction. Don't feel ashamed about it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but in
yeah,
a
okay.
reassuring way. Like, yeah.
But then during all this, while all this is happening, Reese like orders Kier Egan to get her some wine, and then he leaves, and they don't even notice he comes back at some point for a while until they see him like leaning against the wall, holding this wine, like petrified, where he doesn't want to interrupt her. Like he doesn't want to interrupt what's happening, but he's holding this wine that he brought for them, and he just like kind of like just transfixed watching this whole show happen on stage.
It's hot as hell.
he's a
the
big
entire time
pervert.
Feyre's talking about how she's like leaning back and like slowly spreading her legs more. Like,
yeah.
they're
this
putting
is
on
a
a
very-
shit.
it's
And
a
also,
very
this room is
erotic show.
full. It's not just Kier in this room. This room is full of people.
No,
like they
dude,
are
it's like-
fully
it's
putting
good
on a
shit.
show, and
Yeah.
it's so good because like in their head they're thinking like, well, this is fucking working because Azriel's in the back
They're
somewhere
doing it-
stealing
in
this
essence-
family heirloom.
In essence, they essentially are keep saying like, "Do it for the vine, do it for the vine."
Honestly, they're like, look, if we have to have sex in front of these people, we'll do it. Like, whatever, it's for the mission. You
Yeah,
know,
it's for the yeah,
mission.
exactly. And so Kier,
And then this part rules, dude.
yeah, so
Like,
he's like, "Oh, you'll get what's coming to you, whore." He's obviously unhappy with. I think he's triggered by seeing a woman enjoy something. Is my guess.
Well, also I think he hates.
But yeah,
a ton of stuff anyways. Like, and he hates
yeah, he
Reese.
hates
He
well, they
hates
describe they also, I think more when they give they talk about Moore's backstory earlier. Like, I think they also just describe the society as generally like
really misogynistic.
Couldn't hate women more.
Yeah, I think this is the idea,
absolutely.
is that, like, Kier is, like, very afraid of Rhysand, but, like, he thinks that he can still talk down to his whore, basically, because she's a woman. Like, it wouldn't matter anyway. Like, she's a pet of his, you know, or whatever. And then
And he
Rhys-
says that under his breath in a way that, like, it's not clear if he knew Rhysand would hear him or not.
I think he did.
But, like...
But I don't know.
Oh, no, Rhysand did... No, Rhysand
I'm saying
did hear it.
I think it was, like, a passive-aggressive, like, I'm gonna say this under my breath, you know?
Dude,
Yeah,
this
so he
part,
says it
like,
under his breath, and then...
Rhys just uses his powers to, like, black out the room for a second, and when it comes back, like, Kier is on his knees and, like, struggling to breathe, kind of, and he's just like, fucking apologize to her. And he doesn't
because he's like
Yeah.
holding her arm, holding Kier's
Yeah.
arm.
Coward.
It's like,
He's like,
apologize.
I'll break your fucking arms if you don't apologize to her. So then, like,
Yeah.
he doesn't do
He
it for a
doesn't.
second, so he breaks his arm in 4 places. And then I think he
Yeah, like
apologizes.
Ferris says, like she sees the arm just like shatter, like basically shatters the bones in his arm. So his
Yeah.
like arm is bending in ways it's not supposed to bend.
Right.
and then
which
he
is most
apologizes. And then doesn't
No, he
break
doesn't
the other
apologize
arm?
yet.
Does he mean
He
it?
doesn't apologize yet. First off, he shatters one arm, and he still doesn't apologize. Then he breaks the other arm.
No, I swear to God, he apologizes. Then he just he just breaks the other arm anyway.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
I think you're right. I
thought
think
it
Joe's
was.
right, but
I swear it's like
okay.
a power move of like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, break the other
But-
arm. Fuck
yeah,
you.
and then he says, like, no magical healing. Like, if you do, I'll fucking rip you to pieces with my bare hands. How about
Yeah.
that?
You're gonna heal back however you fucking heal back. You don't get
Yeah.
to see a healer.
Which is pretty fucking crazy to say. But yeah, that was a very... This chapter was, like, really intense. I was very, like this the whole time. Because I was like,
I mean, this whole set of chapters, a lot happened. This is
Yeah, for
very
sure.
stark. The book definitely has some like highs and lows. Not in like the lows are like bad.
Like
It's
low
just like
quality. It's
like
just,
any
like, low
natural book.
speed, yeah.
Books aren't gonna
This
aren't gonna
is-
go to 120 miles an hour the entire time. So we had like the last chunk was kind of like a slower section
Yeah.
with some mild stuff happening, building up to other things, and then we're into this section now, which is like fucking go
Look,
go go go
this-
go.
the first book I'm not gonna like be apologist for, like that was paced really poorly. Like this book I think is paced well if you're reading a book like a human's supposed to read a book, which is just like not a group of chapters every 2 weeks. Like I think it's paced
Yes.
fine. Like but like it definitely has like big moments and it has like slow moments, like a few chapters in between them, and sometimes we have an episode where we're like all the slow chapters like is all. But overall no, like this was definitely like a really fucking like a lot of shit happened in this section. So yeah, no, I was the last chapter that I was very like slightly uncomfortable and also on the edge of my seat because I was like, oh man, like she's really into this, like, you know. But yeah,
And also like, and as we're talking back and forth, like like I'm wondering when they're gonna actually do it for sure after all this that happened.
I mean,
But she did also say like after she felt, you know, wet and she was kind of grinding onto him, she kind of had this moment of like shame that she felt. And even though Rhys was encouraging her, she had this moment of like, she was like, I was engaged to someone else like
Yeah.
a month ago. I was laying in someone else's bed just a month ago. Like she was feeling this kind of like shame in her, but
no, that's it's totally understandable too, and I think she probably needs some. I think she needed this experience to realize that she does want it first. You know what I mean? Like she does actually want it. So we'll see what happens next
Yeah,
time.
because she was like, oh well, like now I feel alive again. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it was this. Yeah.
All right, we gotta get our predictions out there. I think that I'm trying to think about this because I learning about this guy, about Eris, like, you know, Lucian's older brother and like what he did and all this shit. I think that like I'm interested in more getting like specific revenge on this guy.
yeah, but is that going to happen
I don't think it's
next
gonna happen
episode?
No, not in the next set of chapters.
No.
No. I was just
I
saying
think that's like a very end of the book. It just happens in a
Or
montage.
even end of
She
the-
sees him in a battle, or like, end of the series. Sorry, and she
End of
just
the
like
series,
happens
yeah,
to be like,
this trilogy
oh, you're
or
dead now.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we think any other lords within Highburn, not within Highburn, within
Prithian?
Prithian, are going to like turncoat and support the king, like the Fall Court, for instance? Do we think they're going to like
I actually
turn
think
tail
that's a
and
great call, and I think one or two of them are probably going to do that just out of complete fear.
yeah? Like, I guess how many of them are going to, like, you know, turn and run to support the King of Hybern because they're afraid of, you know, losing to him. And the Fall Court seems like a great candidate for that. And I would say that, like, Under the Mountain, Night Court would, but I don't know how that would work with, like, them.
I don't think they would be able to do something different than what Rhys is telling them. Unless Moore's father, like, is, like, a double agent, basically, and, like, is helping the King of Hybern because he doesn't like Resend, and he's like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. So Kier makes a deal with the King of Hybern. He's like, you come through here, you take whatever you want, I'll work for you, you put me in charge, and you let me kill Resend, or you kill him, or whatever. Like, I hate him so much. Like, put me in charge. I'll be your, like, warden of the Night Court, essentially. You know what I mean?
That does make sense. And then also, he did know that Rhys and Feyre were going to be flying to the Night Court.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, like,
he did say send word to your father, and, like, yeah, and then also he does then say you'll get what's coming to you, whore, to Feyre out of, like, seemingly nowhere.
Yeah, it seemed kind of unprompted from him, which is, like, I think there's more going on, so that definitely could be where this is going. I think that makes sense. I'm curious. Okay, so we're at chapter, like, 42. We have 69 nice chapters total in this book. So we're, like, a little bit around 2/3 of the way through, basically. Like, so we're kind of entering, like, the final stretch, like the third act of the story, I think, like, in a bit here. So I think things are going to have to, like, ramp up again later. I think there's going to be one more dip, and then we're going to, like, ramp up for realsies till the end.
And then Tamlin comes back.
I think... I don't really... You know what? I don't have, like, any real solid predictions at this point, other than I think Patrick will be wrong in whatever his prediction is.
Tamlin coming back
I'm going to go on the offensive.
Tamlin coming back is like Hollow Knight Silksong for Romantasy readers.
But I think in the next chunk, I predict next episode, we're gonna get some Illyrian wing touching. We're gonna get a wing job next episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is this next chunk. Is this next chunk when Rhys and Feyre finally have
I actually
sex?
don't even know if it's gonna be that, but I think they're gonna do some intimate stuff, some wing touching. And I don't know if it's going to go all the way at this time.
You think it's going to be just wing?
No,
what base is that?
No. I'm saying
all
they would
get
There's a thing that happens in almost every romantic thing, which is they get interrupted when they're about to actually do it. They finally give in, they're into it, and then they get interrupted. I think that's what's going to happen.
I think they have edged enough between all the different flirting and Azriel interrupting, and then all this whole interaction that happened, and not being able to. I think there's been enough buildup.
I think so too, but
we can't edge more than the scene we just had here. Like that is the edging scene.
That's what I mean. I think
you've been edged to the max until you get edged more. That's all I'm saying.
Fuck, you know what? You're right. That is what you would do if you're edging. Is you would like, oh yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
I generally agree that, like, it's. I think this whole scene that played out that we just witnessed is gonna, like, has laid the groundwork for what is going to be some great sex.
But now this
yes.
Comment what you think here. Who has a bigger dick, Azriel or
Cassian?
Or Rhys?
Don't comment that. I don't know what kind of comments we're allowed to have on Spotify.
No, I'll put that on the poll, and I'll just say, like, how big is their manhood, so it doesn't get flagged or anything.
Yeah.
Wings.
Or
wing size.
Who has the best?
We'll just do wing size in quotes.
We'll do wing
size
size.
in quotes. Yeah. All right. I'll put that.
How
up
big
as the
are their
poll for
feet?
next time.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next segment of chapters. And let's see. Oh, yeah, our theme song is Red Queen by Parachutes. Go look them up on Spotify. They should be linked in the thing if you're listening on Spotify anyway. And then we have, our website's acababpod.com. You can join our Discord there if you'd like. Talk about some things. I think that's about it.
Talk about how this is our longest episode yet.
Yeah, talk about this fucking unbelievable... Well, if I cut out all the stuff about, like, seals and Mel Gibson, it'd only be like an hour, so...
That's right. We do have an hour. We do have an hour minutes.
That's the bread and butter of this podcast.
Yeah, you're right. People come here for, like, this...
Also, okay, keep on trucking. And then also in the comments, you should agree that everyone, if you agree with me that this should have been titled Mel Gibson's Racist Library, just put it in the comment section.
Yeah. Put that
Wait,
in
when
the
you guys
comments.
said seals, did you mean the animal seals or the music artist seals?
What the fuck are you talking about?
The
Animals. That's why I did this. That's why I did that. Why would I do that if I was talking about the music?
Well, that was a
artist?
top-notch seal impression.
Thank you. There used to be a secret vault right under the sea. You dove in while I knocked out guards on the beach. Lungs were filled with seawater begging for death. But did you know before you drowned, the water race owed you, and now the debt has been repaid? Feyre, I can see that you're a human who's become a fae. Oh, the more you almost die, the madder you get at me. And now your power's in bloom. A light hits the doom on the face. There is so much that I can't tell you, so I send magic texts, edging the readers. When will we ever have sex? And now the summer court is sending jewels declaring war, and I'm worried about Hybern maybe. But did you see the human queens are actually stupid, so don't feel too bad about things. Feyre! Everyone knows you're a human who's become a fae. Oh, the more your sister talks, the madder you seem to be. But now that your power's been drained, a light hits the doom on the face. I have been killed by a seal underwater. And yeah, I mean the kind of seal that keeps a door shut. Not the aquatic kind that's a funny mammal. And no, I don't mean the singer. I thought that was clear, I guess not. Tamlin is a stupid racist that you used to date. Ooh, the more we hang, the more the other courts wanna hate. But now that you're part of the dreams, a hope starts to gleam for the fair.